Good morning, Atlanta, and welcome to day 2 of High Res Expo. We are kicking things off here at the Alienware Consortium of Analytical Authority. The lounge is gone. We have stepped up our game here. Hello and welcome everybody again. This crisp Atlanta morning. My name is Pretty Hair. I will be your guide here through the first half of the day. Joining me is my esteemed colleagues and friend, William Gormizer. Of course, Kresnik and Fawn over there as well. How are you all doing today? How was your first day here at Expo?
It was pretty sick. I mean, I was really excited. I mean, everything.
It's your first time, man.
Yeah, it's my first time being here, so I'm really excited.
I always love HRX. I always love being able to walk around and see everybody here just for high-res games, for Paladins, for Smite, meeting everybody too. It's crazy, especially after joining the team this year.
Absolutely. Gormizer down on the red carpet. How were things yesterday?
That was a different experience than I think anything I've had here. Casting here, being on the desk here, always has like kind of that feel. It's something you do every day when we're at work, but you know, you get the crowd, it's always nice. But being on the red carpet was like, oh, this is an event right now.
Well, as we said, of course, this is the first day you guys are going to be seeing some of this Paladins actions. Thor's hammer has been exchanged for the Crystal of Champions up there. But before we get too into the action, let's talk a little bit about how we got here. Of course, the placement week happening not too long ago. I'm going to turn it over to Gormizer to kind of walk you guys through this one and how it went down.
Yeah, that first day, the 3 that you see on the side were kind of our console wars. That's exactly what that was. Hype Unit and the console league were able to kind of take that over Flashpoint, but they were really moving forward into the giant play-in bracket. It's them versus the minor league versus the bottom 4 from the Premier League. And as you can see in the top bracket, the Premier League rang true, at least for the first day. SSG had a pretty solid run through the entirety of the bracket. They fought Kanga twice towards the end, and they had pretty much no issues dealing with them, especially the second time we had Hades step in. That was a fun game. But either way, it was really fun. The bottom bracket was where things got a little spicy. Unfortunately for the console teams, they got eliminated fast. Flashpoint made it pretty far and did give a pretty good run up against the Knights, but they weren't able to do too much against them. Got eliminated there, and we found our 4 teams coming in to this quarterfinal bracket, which has led us to today.
So the quarterfinals have already been played. For those of you that were watching yesterday, Smite played their quarterfinals. Their semifinals will be today. We have already completed our quarterfinals. Kresnik, Fawn, what were your thoughts? Did everything go as expected in those quarterfinals?
I don't think it went anywhere near as expected. I mean, you look at our 8th seed from the placement bracket taking down Natus Vincere, our 1st seed coming in. Previous world champions, a massive upset at the start, especially since in the placement bracket, the Knights didn't look too great. We saw them kind of go down 3-0 to Renegades, who I think only have 5 or 4 to 5 wins this entire year.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And we're going to take a quick peek here at the entirety of the day, what you can be expecting here at High Res Expo. Of course, those Paladins semifinals going to be kicking things off here. The first one up on the docket is the Pittsburgh Knights versus Team Envy. Ninjas in Pajamas will be following them up, and then we're going to switch gears over to Smite. Team Rival will take on Team Dignitas to kick things off there as the run for the hammer continues. SK Gaming and Renegades will finish out the day, but that is what's to come. We got a whole long day ahead of you. You can see scheduled, roughly estimated at 7 p.m. that final Smite semifinal or kickoff. I'm going to be here for the entirety of the day, guys. It's going to be a great day. We're going to throw things over to a quick recap video and get you guys in gear for the Paladins.
Paladins Season 3. This year started with an interesting foray into the phase. Ninjas in Pajamas skyrocketed to the top of the league, dismantling anyone and everyone in their way. The world champions Envy surprised everyone with an unhealthy middle to the split, and we end up in a fascinating spot with all of these teams headed to the mid-season invitational. At the MSI, the minor league Team Penta come through and dominate everyone, including your top 2 seeds from the PPL, Natus Vincere and Ninjas in Pajamas. After winning this LAN, their players are picked up across the PPL, and they shake up the state of the game. Virtus.pro and the Knights start the second phase with fresh looks and new levels of play. Virtus.pro systematically eliminate every other team in the league, and the Knights begin their climb away from the bottom. With upsets happening all across the league, all 8 teams are considered contenders for the World Championship after the most competitive phase in Paladins history. The top 4 PPL teams qualified for High Res Expo. The rest of them went down to join 6 other teams in a bracket for the final 4 spots at the World Championship. The first day of our qualifying tournament gives us our Console Wars champion in Hype Unit, who have been talked about as a threat by all of the PPL teams. Days go on, teams get eliminated, and we end up with some PPL rematches along with some dreams for the minor and console leagues. We get to elimination matches and find the 4 teams that will be joining the quarterfinals. Space Station Gaming, Kanga Esports, the Pittsburgh Knights, and the Detroit Renegades. The players are ready, the stage is set, and things kick off with prior world champion team Natus Vincere against the Pittsburgh Knights. In a surprise turn of events, the Knights take a 4-2, and they solidify their spot in the semifinals. In a rematch of the most contentious set from last year's World Championship, Team Envy face off against Space Station Gaming. Much like last year, Envy are able to come through, win this one, and move themselves to the semifinals. The league's longest undefeated team, Ninjas in Pajamas, would then face off against the Detroit Renegades, and to no one's surprise, NIP dominate this matchup and move themselves forward to the semis. The international powerhouse Kanga would then go up against the hottest team in Paladins, Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro continue their hot streak and take down Kanga, sending them back down under. The year-long journey of 4 teams will converge in an epic battle for the title of Paladins World Champion.
I was looking for this.
I will have your soul.
Come and get it. Son of a...
Suffer for this.
You're ridiculous. I like you. Ooh, that's going to leave a mark.
Welcome back to the Alienware Consortium of Analytical Authority. My name is Pretty Hair, of course, leading the charge here with my good friends, esteemed colleagues, and of course, analysts. But most importantly, my friends, Gormizer, Kresnik, and Stefan. We got some fun stuff coming into the realm, guys. I really haven't had much of a chance to get hands-on with Rom, and now Tiberius has been announced. I mean, Stefan, these look like some seriously fun characters.
Yeah, he did. I mean, even when I had, just at least a little bit before then. I mean, like I had played him just a little bit during playtests, so on and so forth. So I'm super excited everybody got a chance to see him. He was super sick. I mean, even with the chance that it was that I got to be able to play him, it was cool.
I love getting 2 non-human champions in a row, too. All these unique races and characters in the realm, just different things that we're seeing. I love the versatility the universe the Paladins gives us.
And the bouncing auto attacks. That's the thing that's going to be really fun. He's going to be really fun to see in competitive play when he gets through.
High mobility, high skill cap. I think a lot of the things these gentlemen are looking for in their champions. Before we get too into the nitty gritty, let's look at this 30,000 foot view, I think, of the Paladins World Championship. And who is sitting up here. One of the kind of fun facts is that this is the highest percentage of true North American players that we have had at this stage of the tournament. A lot of those guys on the Knights, most of them on Envy. In the past, there was this kind of stigma, right, that Europe was just kind of far superior. And with the joining of these 2 leagues, I think it's still interesting to note that there is so much, old North American blood in the tournament.
And what's even more impressive is seeing the teams that have kind of dominated in Europe, specifically Navi, who has been able to come to win a world championship, make it to the finals of the last one, come back, and then this year get eliminated by a North American team. Like, it's kind of breaking that stigma of, oh yeah, EU rules everything.
The mixed teams are a big part of it too.
For sure.
Virtus Pro and Knights are both teams with not just NA, not just EU, but finding the hybrid, finding the best players from both, and that's what's making, I think, these NA players moving forward too. They get that mindset from EU that helped them succeed so much in the past, but that with just the raw skill, mechanical skill from these NA players, and it's helping them a lot to get to this stage in the tournament.
That's right, guys. The energy here is palpable, starting to pick up. Fans are trickling in to the DreamHack venue. And let's jump down a little bit more, I think, into the trenches here. First, taking a look at match number 2. That is going to be Ninjas in Pajamas versus Virtus Pro. this is a tough one to call. I think this is a, everybody at this point in the tournament is looking like championship caliber, but these two in particular are very, very hot. You mentioned in that video, kind of recapping the whole season. Virtus Pro hot now. Ninjas in Pajamas was hot then.
Single team in the league. NIP, first phase, longest undefeated streak in Paladins history. Like, they just did not get taken down forever.
Yeah,
when teams finally got their fangs in them, it seemed like it sunk them.
All right, guys, let's take a little look at some highlights from Ninjas in Pajamas.
Ninjas in Pajamas.
He should. They target Hero, but caught out here. A bit disjointed of a fight from the Renegades. Bonkerats too. Bowling balls himself away, but nice Bird finding the long range axe on Cuff's Cutie. G-Bunny finds one, but could it be enough? Dice Dog, Digidog, excuse me, drops Ricotta, but kills are just falling in favor of Nip right now. That's a red.
Has to go in with no cooldowns. Rhino touches as well, but that's two. They have Assert Dominance on the point to stagger. If they don't feed themselves in, it could be rough, but Tenor does it first. Assert Dominance and the Inflict puts a lot of damage in. It's all up to what NIP can focus.
They're just focusing down Jones. Jones can barely even get on the point.
Self one, the ultimate coming down, keeping him alive there. Could be all they need to transfer this into a second point. Bittner, two. This map is the weird. It's just a rotation. Bittner for three.
The Immortal comes out. SSG want to stop this in its tracks. They don't want to let this one get off the leash.
They didn't get a kill though. They had to find something while that Immortal was going on, but Ares chased down the Ruckus instead of helping up front. Alex is just
there's the peel.
splitting them in half.
There's
Finally
the peel.
What they need, and Alex takes down FRZ.
A brief view of the Ninjas in Pajamas. Team you'll get to see play later today for their spot in the finals. Like we mentioned, an incredibly impressive streak through the first phase of competition. But that is long behind them. They need to be hot now, and they need to be ready now. They have a couple of rings on this squad, so I'm sure they'll be ready to step up to the plate. Of course, their opponents, though, Virtus Pro, Fawn, one of the hottest teams right now. Didn't have a great phase one, but their phase two, I mean, there wasn't a lot that was doing it better than them.
I mean, Virtus Pro, after the roster swaps, they've been doing extremely well, which is how they've been playing, just their adaptation over amount of time. And Bittner and Fasheko, former teammates, and now they're up on the stage, always placing second and third, at least on the previous team that they were on. So now it's going to mean a lot coming into that match.
I want to see what team is running hotter, too, coming into this.
Absolutely.
I mean, NIP grade phase 1, VP grade phase 2. Both looked okay in the bracket before this, but they got to run hot now if they want to take it.
A lot of time in between the quarterfinals and these semifinals that they're playing now, so hopefully these teams not getting too cold, not too icy, not too rusty. Let's take a look at some highlights from Virtus Pro.
Not Zarini, but forcing Simsalou to back off, and actually Zarini as well. Yeah, he's gonna have to use Seismic Crash to make sure he can stay alive in this fight, but a good Dome Shield is gonna be enough to take care of Zarini. Another good shot from Joseph is gonna make sure he gets rid of Simsalou. Vex finding one on the G-Bunny. Another good shot from Joseph.
Rhino coming into the back and getting two. Crutch is going to go down almost indefinitely now, but good shot by Graves might make this possible. Did you see what the Ragdoll did in the back with the EP2?
Oh my, I mean, you know that was a good shot. One more quick scope. Dog lets your mind ring out. Vex lets the through time and space ring out, but that one connects. A triple kill for the healer.
Shield as a last resort, but really the only option to survive what would have been an onslaught.
Absolutely. Look, King Bomb coming in actually manages to catch off Alex. Pulled in by, wow, what a shot by Fishigo there too. Now NIP's just going to try to die on the point with only two left. Padding Fish's stats, that's probably going to be play of the game.
Nothing can even connect. You can't apply a debuff. You can't do anything to Khan during those immunity frames. So again, it's a silver lining, but it ends up meaning a whole lot more.
Nick, this is not looking good for NIP.
Welcome back to the Alienware Lounge here, folks. Of course, that was a look at Virtus Pro, a team that will be playing the second match of the day up against Ninjas in Pajamas. Guys, we got to dive a little bit into this first one now. Our first semifinal, the Pittsburgh Knights versus the defending world champions, Team Envy. Now for the Knights, there's one of the biggest upsets, if not the biggest upsets of the year, defeating Na'Vi just to be here on this stage today. Gore, what does that mean to these guys?
Honestly, it meant the world. Like, I mean, Cuss, emotional after the interview. The same thing with Ricotta. Like, they didn't think that was going to happen. I think even in the moment, they were still trying to catch up to the fact that they had just beat the #1 seed, like the team that had just been dominating everybody. And to live in a world where we're at a Worlds without Spunky, without Mutu, without Phoenix, like it's just a weird environment to be in, and these are the guys that were able to do it.
I think one of the guys I'm looking out for most today is Cutie, playing all the way from the Founders Tournament in Sweden in 2016. That's right, almost a little over 3 years ago. Let's take a look and get a little bit more acquainted with the Pittsburgh Knights.
The Pittsburgh Knights. Admittedly, that helps out the Knights here as Zarini has his Dome Shield.
And Lazy, he falls overtime, looking like it's bound to expire here. You're going to have to send squishy members of Na'Vi onto the point. So the Renegades just need to find a couple of picks. They only really have one chance left at it. Viral goes down. Certainly that's going to do it. Shadow may be able to blink in. Moonchopper pops the ultimate, but triple kill from the Leon. That's going to see to it. What it does to it, forces NIP back. It is down, burns a little bit of damage. Assert Dominance gets onto 2. Ninu, though, is trying to pull things back. Cutie with a double snipe. Neighbor's Ice Storm comes out as well.
Yeah, Cuss going for another 3-time in space. Catches Gera, I think, using the Whirlwind again, too. That's another ultimate out. Simsalute finding 2 on this side. Ice Storm didn't find too much earlier, but it just, everything just...
Ed, you know, we were wondering what Knights we were going to see. Right now, it's not looking great for him.
That King Bomb does look great. Ninu locks up Zarini, is able to get the kill. There is an Assert Dominance in that side room there. G-Bunny with a double kill for himself inside of the immunity. 3 now for the Ash, looking for 4th.
A quick look at the Pittsburgh Knights there. Their opponents today, though, the defending world champions. I think the name everybody has on the top of their hit list today. Fawn, what are we expecting from the, frankly, 4th overall seed, but again, the defending world champions?
I mean, we have some pretty amazing matchups, I mean, between players. I mean, you've got 2 amazing damage dealers. You've got Rakata, you've got Rock Monkey, you've got the off-tanks, you've got G-Bunny, you've got Rubu, you've got the Flexes, you've got Simsalute versus Random Noob. So with all of those in mind, you definitely have to be on the lookout for how all these players are going to play, because now that they're up on stage, this is going to mean a lot for them. I mean, you saw how much it meant to Cuss, just like you were saying earlier, Gore. And of course, you have to be able to be ready to see the type of play that these guys are going to bring out today.
Kresnik, what are we realistically expecting from this Envy squad today? Are they going to roll over the Knights here, or is there going to be a real fight here on the stage?
And Envy's been a little bit inconsistent, I think, all throughout this season. It's going to end up being a style matchup between these 2 teams, I feel. The Knights, we know they want to get aggressive. We know they want to smell blood in the water. They want to go for it. And Envy were always the patient NA team. So what style works better when the pressure's on?
It's the interesting thing specifically for this matchup is just the fact that Envy looking indomitable, but the last time they met, it was a 4-0 for the Knights. So there's always that kind of air that anybody could win.
Some of the biggest names in Paladins, folks. It's time to meet your defending world champions, Team Envy.
Team Envy.
That first team fight loss for Team Envy. They lose overall, but they still walk away with 55-54% on the objectives.
And things look dire right now for the Knights. He had a quadra last time. He has a triple this time. He has another quadra. Rubu with 2.
King Maldab is actually doing a decent job tanking shots.
Yeah, absolutely. This time around, Toki uses a seismic crash solo on the Dethroner. That's going to put him in the driver's seat, making a triple Rock Monkey. Hello. Something that Envy weren't able to figure out on Fish Market yet again. I mean, it's not all on Alex on the buck, but it's been just different enough.
That was a good big gun.
It was a good big gun. I'm looking over at you. And now we see Mr. Hayes with 4.
Hearing the call for it and being able to play and pay half attention to make sure that he doesn't get them off.
Yeah, I think, one of them was like peeled off by Midtown. There's a connection. Random Noob back on the floor.
Extra damage for everyone on Team Envy. Fishy lower and lower. Doesn't have any cooldowns up just yet. Needs a couple of seconds, but Toki finds 2. Akate and Vex are already dead. Fishy wormholes into a tough spot. Toki just going to take down everyone in this fight. The Khan, the muscle behind the Team Envy fight when it mattered most.
Quick look there at the world champions, Team Envy. Gormizer, you're going to have the pleasure of casting this first semifinal. So I do want to collect the final thoughts here from Kresnik and Stefan before we head into this match. Final thoughts on Envy and Knights.
I think it's going to be a close one, honestly. It really depends on what Envy shows up here today, but either way, I think we're going to a pretty long set.
I agree as well. I mean, it's going to matter a lot for the Pittsburgh Knights to really try and harness what they had when they actually were able to beat Not As Sincere and try and channel that into today to take down Envy.
The Knights are the King Killers right now, right? They took out Na'Vi.
So,
the next one on the list has to be Envy for them. I think we are in for an interesting matchup. It does very much, like Kresnik said, depend on what Envy shows up, but also the Knights. So again, the first part of the qualifier bracket wasn't the cleanest for them. They did clean it up for quarterfinals. They need to have that kind of performance today.
I'm starting to get those butterflies. It's starting to get real up here on stage. I can't imagine how these players are feeling, guys. Let's throw it to a quick break, and when we come back, it's time for the action.
When missions call for a team that exercises diplomacy or keeping a cool head, a light touch, or restraint, you should call a different team. Because that is not what we do. It's the opposite, in fact. You guys ready? Now you're just showing off.
A fun look at something new coming from Hi-Res Studios, of course, Rogue Company, one of the hottest new shooters on the block. If you're here live at the event, it's actually the first time anyone in the general public has been able to get hands-on with the game. Kresnik, we've had the pleasure of kind of play testing and getting into action a little bit. Some of these Paladins players have been able to play. A little bit different style than Paladins, but at the end of the day, we're all here to left-click on some heads.
Yeah, I've been loving playing the game for sure. I always end up against you. It's always who can carry their team harder.
Me and Chris, a couple of Phoenix one tricks here already. I try so hard not to fall into the one trick that quickly, but
I've never seen you play a character other than Phoenix.
That's my man's right there. I love me some Phoenix. A lot of those mercenaries having a lot of flavor, a lot of personality, and of course some of those hacker mans walking around here in the venue. I don't know. They're pretty scary and allegedly can hack twice as fast as even I can. A lot of good stuff coming in the Hi-Res family, in the Hi-Res venue. I mean, this first semifinal about to get kicked off here. I'm super excited for this one. Having Team Envy here on the stage with us is something, that is really a privilege. I think one of the first North American teams to do it in such a big fashion. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stage the defending world champions, the boys in blue. It's Team Envy. Their opponents today, not to be underestimated. The King Killers themselves. It's the underdog, the Pittsburgh Knights. Well. Embracing each other, giving a little bit of pet talk. Of course, one player that I have a close eye on today is Cutie. His first semifinal, one of the biggest runs I think he's made in his career. And that career, Kresnik, has been one that is long, full of trials, tribulations, teams splitting up, teammates having to kind of say goodbye to each other. I think they feel really good about their chances here today. But like I mentioned, man, 2016, Jönköping, Sweden, a DreamHack event, not unlike the one we sit here at today. This man, gave it his all, but was unable to come out on top. This could be one of the first times he gets himself some international wins at the World Championship.
Yeah, Custis definitely had a history of just being taken down at the very end by these EU teams. Wherever random place in the bracket, lower bracket against Fnatic, I believe, in Vegas in the past. Almost all the World Championships very early, so going further than before. I think that must be why, taking down Na'Vi, what meant so much to him in the past, just having that finally going over that mountain that's been in his way for so long.
Yeah, some of the questions I was asking about Team Envy as we get into the map bans, And the map picks here for our first semifinal of the Paladins World Championship. Timber Mill will be map number 1. And, you know, Team Envy not coming in with a crazy amount of expectation on them last year at the World Championship. Kind of a similar story here, Chris. Like, not all the way at the top, not at the bottom, somewhere about middle of the pack. It's all about what Envy shows up here today.
Yeah, and that inconsistency, I think, was what led them to their position. But we know that they have world-class potential. They have world-class players across the board. And honestly, I gotta say, in this matchup, I think my eyes might be on Simsaloo. Envy historically have struggled against teams that have strong flex DPSs, strong blaster players. Simsaloo, he can be one of the best, but it's not always what shows up on match day for sure for them. So we get these first bans in on Timber Mill. I think as expected, big high ground, big sight lines, you gotta get rid of those snipers.
So it's a best of 7. We have a lot of wiggle room here. Not necessarily room that you want to use to make mistakes. But do you expect these bans to be pretty standard? Timber Mill, I think, very heavily favored for the snipers, if not the most favored map to have those snipers. Talking through what you saw at the quarterfinals, is there anything that you're looking out or keeping a close eye on here today?
I would definitely expect some more pocket strats to come out for sure. The second
it's time pulling out all the stops.
I mean, when else are you going to do it, right?
Win or go home.
Even for next year, if you're not, at this point, if you're not doing it. So I definitely expect some big flexibility for sure. Envy, starting with Willow, who is fantastic in the meta in general, but on this map especially, having the ability to take high ground with her flutter, Fey Flight to pressure from long range, and having that vertical spam, super impactful. And when there's no Strix on the board, no Kinessa, she can get away with murder almost with that ultimate.
Absolutely. Barrick and Maeve will be locked in response for the Pittsburgh Knights. Maeve likely to go to Simsaloo, a player you said you had your eye on. This is not only a character, but a player that can be very squirrely, hard to lock down, hard to know what he's doing. With his pick locked in this early in the draft, does that help Envy kind of plan around him and maybe counterplay a little bit?
Not really, specifically because this is a pick that can go either way. That's why teams are picking Maeve so early. It can go in either position. Either your direct damage plays it, your flex damage plays it, and it lets you have a lot more options in the draft as Cuss feels like he's ready to flex onto Envy, and that's the kind of confidence I think he's going to need for sure moving forward in the set, as Envy answer with Khan Genos. Pretty solid combo, honestly.
Let's talk about these frontliners a little bit. Atlas, Makoa, band away. Barrick locked in first. Khan will be locked in second. Traditionally, frontliners are extremely strong in Paladins and something you could expect to see very early on in these drafts. However, Timber Mill, a bit of a different beast. What are teams looking for when they're picking frontlines on such a wide open map?
They're looking for front lines that can sustain on their own because it's very easy to get left alone on an island. You can maybe get just one backline damage at a good angle, can keep you from being able to support your team, so they have to buy time on their own. Ruckus, different style of a tank, definitely more aggressive, more dive-oriented, but he does have a personal shield that'll keep him alive under pressure, and he can trade his life at the very least. So if he can't stay alive, he's bringing someone down with him every time.
Final selections here looking to be locked in for Team Envy. Now we've seen teams do triple tank, we've seen teams do a single tank here on Timber Mill, but it looks like both teams going for a more standard 2-2 split between their front line and their back line. Cassie will be the final selection here for Team Envy, and Nara. This one's looking good for Envy, I gotta say, man. Very standard stuff. I don't think they're too upset with anything that they've got.
No, for sure. That's a fantastic draft, I think, for this map. The only worry for me on Envy's side would be pairing Inara with Genos. Inara traditionally really wants a sustained healer, wants burst heal, something to keep her alive. It's kind of the only thing that really keeps her going in a lot of fights, and Genos is slow, heals over time. His real benefit is the damage boost, so we're going to have to see a big performance from Rock Monkey and Random to kind of make up for that draft deficit.
The final champion ready to be locked in for the first game ready to be played here at the High Res Expo for the Paladins World Championship. Victor is being hovered, now swapped over to Leon, so likely we're toying with the idea of Ricada's pick at this point, right? We talked about Maeve being flexible, could go to either, and it will be locked in. Leon is the choice here for the Knights. Kresnik, final thoughts on these two drafts?
I actually really like the Knights draft here. I think Leon was a perfect pick against that Willow. They needed a long-range hit scan answer. With both snipers off the board, Leon has 1,200 damage cross-map as long as she can connect it, and we know that Ricada will.
Timber Mill is such an interesting map to kick this one off. I would say it hasn't been staple. It hasn't been core to the map rotations throughout this entire year. Perhaps a bit of a pocket strat coming out early?
It's a Team Envy thing. I mean, they're willing to pull out this map. They were also pulling out Ice Mines in the past when it was being banned, so Envy's willingness to play these kind of off-the-wall maps, the things that people are just, you see it locked in scrims, and you're like, can we change?
Willow's first picked here, a big draft selection, of course, incredibly strong, incredibly meta, not something, we're going to be expecting to see survive long in these picking phases. Leon, the final pick in this draft, likely what Random Noob is going to have to be worried most about. How does he play around, stay alive, and still have an impact with a hard hit scan with Ricotta?
You just can't commit too hard with the Fae Flight is the biggest thing. The Flutter will give you enough damage reduction. There's a card in the build that allows you to get a little bit more sustain with the Flutter, but when you're flying around with the Fae Flight, you're just going to have to use the cover, use the trees, and keep yourself out of danger.
It's with great pleasure I'm going to introduce your casters, David Dolson Olsen and William Gormizer Newberry.
Pretty hair and welcome down to High Res Expo. I know we got some Envy fans in the crowd. Pittsburgh Knights, I see you up there as well. Dolson and Gormizer on the call for semifinal number 1. Gore, this is the biggest matchup of the year for these guys, and stakes could not be higher.
And not only is it a big one, we're getting some interesting matchups for this, but also when I was walking by just to get up on the lounge, Envy are practicing Timber Mill. They were ready for this map. They knew where they wanted to go today, and they prepared for it. But you get Simsy on the Maeve going up against Random Noob on this Willow. That's probably going to be crucial. If he can get back there and deal with that, a lot of the pressure that's going to be applied to the point from Envy is going to disappear. But as of right now, he's safe. Same thing for Rock Monkey. No one's been able to get back there and cause any trouble for him.
And I love the edge of having Mr. Hayes up on that high ground. That Genos, such a difference maker here on Timber Mill. If we're able to find those shots, those through times and spaces can be a big difference maker as these fights start to rage on. Envy grab themselves 57% first blood over to Rock Monkey. The Cassie firing early.
Just doing anything and everything they can, and he's got a good angle. He's going up for the Ruckus though, and that's not going to be something he wants to pick just yet. Doesn't have the Wrecker online to feel fully confident against G-Bunny here, but with 2 people, they're gonna be able to push out the Knights.
And they just have a one-man advantage here. This is a big duel right here. Ricotta up on the high ground. Rock Monkey rolls forward. They don't need it. Team Envy, they grab point number 1 here on Timber Mill. And now they're looking for a push. And Gore, they get it done with a single kill.
Ooh, and Ricotta just a little wide there, or Rock Monkey reading the fight incredibly well. That was a good point for the Knights to be able to try and push back and stop this pretty much where it starts. Try to burn this 2-minute timer as long as they can. But they're still getting momentum if you're Team Envy right here, and it's getting that little bit of pressure forward. Rock Monkey's 2-0. They haven't been able to get any kills other than Tolkien on the night, so they have to put some more effort into it. Specifically, I'm looking towards Simsaloo. He's 0-2 right now, and that's honestly where my eyes have to be turned. He has to turn this around.
And sometimes all you need is just that one kill to get things moving, just that 1 point on the board. Envy have showed up here to High Res Expo. They've gotten themselves on the board first, and now being able to move forward from that. That's where you have to look if you're Team Envy. A couple ultimates starting to come online here. Duels continuing. Mr. Hayes, Void Grip up goes Simsaloo, not able to finish off the kill just yet. Rock Monkey to his aid. G-Bunny knocked back. No kills flying just yet. Somehow Random Noob stays alive as well.
The fact that everyone stays alive throughout all of that, well, Envy now starting to fall down. That's going to be 2 clean kills. G-Bunny Ricotta going to be able to pick up a couple. But the Knights have ults online or coming up here soon for Ricotta. Midnight, a great way to try and re-engage on this. If you need to stop a push, it's the best way to do it. But you're at that timer now. A minute left. It's not quite enough time that you're fully confident in dropping these and recharging them for the next round. So you're going to have to be very frugal with it. You know what you want to keep. You know what you're willing to commit. The Knights right now seem to be in a good spot that they don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, they got that free high ground coming right out of base. They're going to move themselves up to it. As Rubu rejoins the fray here. Team Envy back from respawn, staggered out just a little bit. But this is a map where once you get far enough forward, once you're up on that kind of hill, pushing towards that final payload spot, Team Envy are going to be feeling pretty good about it. Rock Monkey finds a kill as well. G-Bunny through the teleporter, trades right out onto that Cassie, but Mr. Hayes returns the shots. G-Bunny goes down. Envy find themselves a 1-man advantage.
Doing anything and everything they can. Zarini, though, with a good little zone, is going to be able to get up there. And not the guy I expect to get up and deal with Random Noob, right? I'm looking at Simsaloo again as this Maeve, someone who's supposed to get back there. Tolkien with a return double kill. And Envy keeping themselves alive in this. Tolkien goes down, so there's a little less pressure on the actual payload. And that might be enough to cinch this round and at least a point for the Knights.
And overtime will start here. Rubu is in range to keep things interesting. Battle Shout is going to keep him in the fight. Envy are actually back to reinforcing this fight here, so if you're able to get a couple kills staggered out for the Knights, things get interesting. Both teams full of ultimates. Who chooses to flinch first? That's the question, since he might just need a couple more daggers to finish off the kill. G-Bunny dives deep in the back line, gets the kill onto Genos. That's a big turnaround here for the Knights, but Rock Monkey still alive, finds the trade out onto Ricotta. Simpsy as well. The Mave starting to hit some of those daggers. It's a checkerboard in the kill feed, a double kill from the Khan. Keeps things interesting, and the payload's still moving forward.
Rubu's here to play, and he does not want this round to end 1-1. He's going to keep pushing forward, almost killing off Zerini as well. We might see a dome shield get forced if they keep this up.
Oh, but they defend successfully. They're able to just push them back. The Dread Serpent from Cuss Cutie, the big deciding factor there towards the end. They throw it up, they get feared away, they have to step off of the payload. But that's a big ultimate going into this next mid-fight.
And that's, I think, the biggest thing, keeping on to those. They had to use the Dread Serpent at the end. Cuss doesn't have that, and that's part of the reason they're able to trace down any kills they get, as well as keep that defense in their hand. But they're coming in maybe at a deficit. A little bit of CC is not going to matter. Resilience is going to start coming online for this next round. So crowd control reduction available for a majority of the members of Envy. You can expect to see it on the Inara, expect to see it on the Khan. Both of them have picked that up. And it's at tier 2 for Rubu, so he's going to be able to get out of these just a little bit faster. But it doesn't just affect the Dread Serpent, it's also going to help with that Midnight. So Simsaloo not going to be able to dive in onto Rubu. He might still be able to pick up Rock Monkey and Random Noob, who, again, in my eyes, should be the target.
That was close from Mr. Hayes, just dodged out by a couple members of the Pittsburgh Knights. So one ultimate down, both for support. Zerini's going to use the dome shield just to buy him a little bit of space down onto the point. G-Bunny one more time, gets aggressive, turns around into Hexafire, cancels it. Simpsy's able to get the kill onto Rock Monkey. Now he drops down that Midnight, going toe-to-toe with Rubu here. Commander's grab up and over. Rubu turns around, and now it's a double kill for the Khan.
And he is just tearing through everyone. That's the worst target for Simpsy to get in that matchup. Midnight comes through. You've got the one guy who's going to be able to see through it the fastest on Team Envy. But you do get some good positioning. Rubu is 6-0-5 right now, doing everything in his power. But with Ricotta kind of being able to bounce back, fight at a range, G-Bunny being as aggressive as he is right now, it's allowing them to keep Envy at bay. Just enough to get that 6% lead right now.
That's an overpower that connects onto Cuss Cutie, but they're not able to convert it into a kill. And now Simpsy has rejoined this fight to the tune of a double kill for that Mave, looking for a few more daggers into Tolkien. And they're able to get 48-51% already, moving up onto that point. Now the zone is out from the Pittsburgh Knights, but right away, Cuss Cutie traded out.
Looking for the shots again, kind of holding the high ground, but getting aggressive so they can maintain this objective. Mr. Hayes goes around and is able to find a kill on the touch. They are going to be able to, no, not touch overtime.
Rock Monkey was the only one in range, but Zerini was able to find the important shots and get the trade out. And all throughout that, I mean, the early game skirmishes that were going on were somewhat going the way of Envy, but Zerini that entire time was staying alive on the point. It wasn't until 51% that, despite winning the fight, Envy were able to get back and start building up some of their own.
We have to see, well, not only where this Midnight goes, but really where the Knights go with this. So they're already off to a better start than Envy were able to get with their
daggers.
Able to find a kill there is going to be huge. A double kill for him keeps them alive in this fight. But the biggest thing is getting rid of Envy allows this payload to get around this corner. This is where the threshold of the map becomes the most difficult. It's a wide open field, long range, perfect for people like Rock Monkey.
There's still just enough damage from Team Envy to keep them in it, but a double kill from Cuss Cutie might just push back. Team Envy keeps himself alive, spreading out some of the heals around that corner. Payload still inching closer. Rubu has had a rock-solid start to this game, only recently dying through time and space. No good for Mr. Hayes.
Trying to throw the line out there. If he can catch anyone in that hallway or on that stairwell, then it's going to be easy for them to find it. Rubu going down right there. G-Bunny starting to show up a lot more. He has the Hexafire about to come up. This is going to be a really good spot. They're going up the ramp. They're looking to end this in the next 10 seconds.
This payload's going to go in. Everybody from Team Envy starting to crumble here. Pittsburgh Knights, they're calculated, and they get the payload pushed in. They move 1 point away from taking game one.
And that was such a massive turnaround for them. I mean, the first round is not collected. They don't have their ults going into it, of course, but maybe that's the only factor that redeems them for it, is being able to get into these 1v1s, use the Midnight to help facilitate some fights around the map. But Simsaloo, complete turnaround. G-Bunny went from kind of running in and dying to running in and finding some kills. And those were the key moments. During qualifiers, G-Bunny had so many moments where he was just out of position. Someone was capitalizing on his aggressiveness and taking it kind of for a worse turn for the Knights. This time around, he's able to find some kills. And Simsy, I think, being a big turnaround at that pivotal corner for Timber Mill.
And that's a guy you have to be careful of. If he starts to warm up and that rhythm starts to find in his kit, in his place, Simpsy is a very dangerous player to kind of keep hanging around in some of these games. The Pittsburgh Knights, they drop point number 1, but then defend and win 3 straight points. Now 1 point away from taking semifinal number 1, and what a big turnaround that is, just taking game 1 in these semifinals.
The biggest thing here with that Jet Servant coming through, kills will mean more for Knights. They need to sit on this as long as they can. Envy have the comeback mechanic. They don't need to use as much time as the Knights do, but they're gonna have to get there fast because this is gonna tick up to around 50% before anyone can touch.
Yeah, and it's G-Bunny most recently trading out onto Rubu. This is a kind of regain yourselves moment. Regroup is 5 if you're Team Envy. Try to push in one more time. They still have some ultimates that could make a difference. Look out for that overpower from Rubu. Rakata pulls himself back onto the high ground. One more Midnight from Simsalou, maybe to seal up this game if they're able to win the fight. 87% is where the Knights stall out. Overpower connects onto Rakata. Rock Monkey finds the kill. Into the battle shout goes Rubu. Zarini trades out with one onto Tulki. Hexafire from G-Bunny canceled out, pouring in damage into that con, but he gets traded out. Rubu stays alive. Zarini Void gripped up. Overtime's expiring, but Envy, they still have to zone.
They hold on to this one, but 99% is a precarious spot to be in if you are them. Any amount of deaths at this point are unacceptable. They have comeback mechanic. What, 4% every single tick on their capture rate right now because they're down 2 points. Makes it a lot easier to match that 99%. But Knights are able to get a touch. They're back in it. They're looking for the fight.
Simpsy's there. Are they able to clean up that Mave? That's the question now. They get one on a G-Bunny. Seismic crash down from Tulki. Enlightenment from Rakata. Doesn't grab the kill. Zarini gets maybe the saving grace, but Simsalou's still in the fight. Pittsburgh Knights are crumbling. It's only 2 members left. Team Envy. It looks like they're going to stay alive. It looks like overtime's going to expire, and Timbermill goes on.
And that was such good peel for Random Noob. Keeping him alive in that moment is going to allow this push to start off again, much like the Knights last round. A lot smoother, a lot better than when Envy captured the objective in the first round of the game. So now they're going to be able to kind of get things going. Rubu back on his streak. Random Noob back on his streak. And as long as they can keep that running, well, not anymore. It's going to be good for them. But without that Willow, it gives a lot more pressure from the tanks. Not having that anti-heal from the dead zone makes it a lot easier for Zarini to just stand there and do whatever he needs to.
Goro, let's talk about the game that Rubu has had so far. I mean, you're going to get some trades here, maybe try to move that payload forward, but this con has been pivotal to the Envy game plan.
I mean, it's fights like this where he's just getting in their face. He almost kills out Simsalou. He's looking to try and fight G-Bunny, but he can get out if he needs to. He has the saving grace of his team behind him, but he's taking these fights he knows he can win. He has the overpower. That's a guaranteed kill as long as he hits it. Everything that Rubu is doing kind of personifies what I think of when I think of him, which is the aggressive carry.
Well, Envy want to go right now. Simpsy finds the flank. He's able to get the kill onto the healer of Team Envy. He has the Midnight ready to go if he wants to stagger just a little bit further, but would you guess it, Rubu was there to save the life. Team Envy, they keep the payload right where it's at. One more stall here from the Pittsburgh Knights. Remember, if they win this defense, they're not going to win the game, but an overpower on a G-Bunny, that gives Envy a great chance to tie.
Rubu's 15-3-10 right now. He is single-handedly decided that he doesn't want to lose this game. 6-9-14 for Rock Monkey. Random Noob staying afloat. And between Rubu and Mr. Hayes getting that Luminary boost to make sure this con is dealing that extra damage, he really can do a lot of it himself if he wants to. Random Noob getting maybe too aggressive there, going down. It kind of gives more credence to where this con is going. And unless Cassie picks it up, unless we see this Willow pick it up, I don't think this push is going to go too far. They still have 40 seconds to kind of make that turnaround. If they can stagger out Rubu, kind of keep it in pace for the Knights, everything can be a smooth round.
Well, and as mentioned kind of before, this is the moment where Envy don't have to spend everything. You will not lose the game if this timer times out. The Pittsburgh Knights feeling comfortable and maybe continuing this game into one more mid-fight. G-Bunny snagging a kill onto Rock Monkey as well. It's definitely going to be helpful in that regard. It's been, I'm not going to say bad, but a quiet game so far from Rakata. Once that Leon starts to warm up, you see moments where they're really tilting things around, but with 5 seconds left, maybe one more chance from Team Envy. Void Grip from Rubu connects onto Simsalou, who's now in a bit of a precarious spot. He's going to dash his way out. Nobody in range, and the game goes on.
The biggest thing coming into it, ult economy for the next round. You do see Mr. Hayes at about 76%, so he's going to be up there to maybe tie Envy around at 4. But every member of the Knights right now has this. 1 point away. If they can capture this mid, they are in the gold for map number 1.
Yep.
Envy, though, down 3-2. They get a half comeback mechanics, 4% every other tick that they're standing on the objective. And that's just enough to keep them afloat in it. It's really one of those imperceptible things. I feel like half comeback mechanic messes with your timing, especially if you're the Knights here. You think you have a second to stand off. You think you have a second where you don't have to touch to get that overtime. And then all of a sudden you've lost the point and you're going to have to wait for another defense. Envy can win the map off of this, though. If they can capture and push, once they get that conversion, it's all over for the Knights.
And it's been the Rubu story up to this point. Can that Khan player make one more big play to keep Envy in this game and extend it one more point. What we've seen so far, G-Bunny dashing in, dashing out. No kills just yet, 6% for the Pittsburgh Knights. Ricotta with some long-range shots as well, looking to maybe find a trade up onto that high ground. Through time and space could be a difference maker. 90% on that ultimate. Pittsburgh Knights rolling with 5. Simsalute very low right now. Hexafire used, first off by G-Bunny. No kills yet. Instead, it's Rubu one more time. Gets the kill onto that Ruckus. But it's 39% for the Pittsburgh Knights as Envy find a one-man advantage.
96% on the overpower. Goes for another shot. Mr. Hayes not going to find it this time, but he's keeping a good zone with that. No one's able to stand on that 2,400 damage cylinder of death that would come through. And as long as they keep this going, it's still 4 ults to 4 ults.
That's right, Dread Serpent first used to lower that number a little bit. Toki throws up that seismic crash, but nobody there to capitalize. The wall is good, gets him out of danger, but Simsalute rounds the corner, grabs the kill. Rubu, one more time, gets the kill onto G-Bunny, but it's 60% in climbing here for the Pittsburgh Knights. You got to identify this Leon off to the side. Too much long range confirm to keep her alive throughout this game. Rock Monkey has maybe found a good angle. Blast shots down, Rubu gets the kill. Shield goes up, Battle Shout goes out. 82 to 87%.
Tolkien's going to be back in the fight, though. That's going to get them back on the objective, keep them contesting. You're going to need a big play. They have a dome shield, but Zerini just now respawning. You're going to have to stall out, to get back, keep this overtime going, and there's no one left to do it.
Yeah, Cuss Cutie, he's going to slither in a double kill from Rock Monkey, and wouldn't you guess it, we are tied at 3. Team Envy, they have a chance to win this game.
All they need is this conversion. They're off to a clean start. Another kill onto Zerini. Maintains the dome shield. Didn't use it during the fight. Might have cost them, well, at least the map for now. Could still find a defense later. They're going to be looking to try and charge up everything else they have, as well as the fact that they have to compete. I mean, you are looking at Moldava being able to pump out a lot of healing, but at this point in the game, you're dealing with high tiers of Cauterize. That's going to give the anti-heal to everything that Envy have. Plus, they're going to have Willow coming through, who's gone for Cauterize on top of her dead zone. So 100% anti-heal and an ability, plus 60% here off of just any shot she throws out. It's going to be difficult for Zerini specifically to stay alive. Same thing for G-Bunny. The tanks are going to have a rough time.
Well, if we've learned nothing else, both of these teams ready to play. It's been neck and neck throughout this game. Pittsburgh Knights, they go down early, win 3 straight, but Team Envy, they've been able to tie it up through a couple of mid-fights of their own. Gore, with the way Timber Mill goes, it looks like we might be up for one more mid-fight. Game 1 deciding mid-fight, but still a minute and a half left to go. If Team Envy are able to find some staggers, things get interesting, but for now, the defense of the Knights holds strong.
Being able to hold here. And what I love is they get aggressive. Normally we see in some maps, especially the smaller maps like Jack Falls, teams will go for kind of the full press. They will get in your base, they will lock you down, you will get dismounted the minute you step out of those spawn doors and have a lot of trouble. Here, Timber Mill, it's a lot more risky to run a play like that. You go to the mid, you try to get this zone, you do exactly what you're doing. You get rid of the support here in Mr. Hayes, you make it a lot easier to stagger out the rest of Envy and burn down the rest of this 1 minute time.
I gotta say, we have put a lot of emphasis on Rubu for good reason. A massive game here in game 1. I think G-Bunny's done a great job as well of trying to counter out some of that off-tank presence. Don't count your chickens just yet. A double kill from Random Noob may keep things a little bit even here. Once you're kind of on the back pedal on Timber Mill, defense gets a little bit harder.
You can see Knights already pushed back essentially to the conversion point. They are locked away. That's going to allow Envy at least overtime. They have 30 seconds to get around this corner, again, into kind of no man's land where you don't want to be against Ricotta. But this corner, very pivotal for them. They're winning the fight right now. And Rubu's controlling the side, keeping everyone distracted.
This is a great spot for Ricotta to be in. Plenty of long sight lines for that Leon, but he's going to dash down. This is maybe the last fight of this round. Overtime, 8 seconds away. Faye flight up from Random Noob. Finds some targets, but no kills. Rock Monkey's able to capitalize. It's a 1-for-1 trade here. Simsalute doesn't feel like he needs to move. Has a great angle onto Toki, and once Adanara goes down, this becomes much more difficult. Unless Rubu's able to make one more miracle play here, and Zerini's just going to ignore him. A double kill from the Khan. Keeps things interesting. Payload continues. Overtime still on.
You call for it, you get it. Rubu is doing everything in his power right now to make sure this keeps going. Enough time. Tolki's respawning, running back right now. And as long as he stays alive, he's got the overpower. They have 4 ults available on Envy. They can burn him to try and go this, but they don't have 25% of the way to go. They need to get a little closer before they stop popping anything.
All they need is one more fight. Enlightenment, good. Random Noob is able to get the kill back. They get the kill onto Tolki. Quick look at the ultimates, though. Enlightenment, Dread Serpent, both used to secure that defense. And after a great fight back here from Team Envy, we are tied at 3. One final mid-fight to decide game one.
And what a perfect way for this to start, right? You get the first game at High Res Expo, and it's literally the longest way you can go for points in terms of Paladins, with the way that these teams have kind of traversed this. But like you said, one more seals the deal, kind of draws first blood overall for these guys on the stage.
Rubu
is carrying everybody in a backpack. I didn't know he had one on stage big enough for 5 people, but he's got
21 and 5 for the Con on Team Envy, and they're going to need a little bit more of that to help get them over this finish line here on Timbermill, neck and neck. And you look at Simsalou, G-Bunny 13 kills, Ricotta as well, a bit more even spread for the Pittsburgh Knights. This could be it. One final fight to decide it. Mr. Hayes looking for maybe a through time and space target. Tolkien backs off, back behind his wall. Random Noob flutters away. Dome shield used. Simpsy finds the first blood. Down goes the Midnight. Through time and space. Connects from Mr. Hayes. He ties up this fight at 1-for-1.
Does exactly what he needs to. He's been looking for that shot all game, and he hits the one that matters the most, but followed up. Rubu missing the overpower. Usually that can be turned into a guaranteed kill this time around. It's going to stay at 30%, but he's going to have to deal with the repercussions of that. Rini and exactly what the Knights are going to be able to do with this pressure.
Maybe a Faith Light for Random Noob, and you're going to have the Enlightenment. That might just be it. One ultimate aside to determine game number 1. Rock Monkey playing safe. Don't want to get too far forward. You can hear those daggers from the Mave, from Simsalou, searching out an area for a target. Faith Light now from Random Noob. He's going to go high, looking for some people down on the point. He finds Zarini, forces the rocket boots out, makes him backpedal just a little bit, thinking twice. He gets so much damage. Rubu one more time, gets the kill onto G-Bunny, and now he's looking for a little bit more. Enlightenment, no good from Ricotta, but Simsalou, he's rejoined the fight. Rubu on the back end finds the kill onto the Leon. Mr. Hayes from the high ground backs off. Random Noob finds the kill. It's 96% for Team Envy. They're gonna win the game.
Gets a little rocky there in the middle for Envy. But they do win Timbermill. They are able to kind of seal the deal when it matters most, I would say, for them, as they came through. And you can't look at anybody other than Rubu for that, right? I mean, you look at Random Noob, he has a really good Faith Light at the end to help seal the deal, but they don't get to the end if you don't have Rubu having the masterful performance he had there. It's one of those questions, snipers get banned on Timbermill.
Yeah.
I'm looking to the future. You got to control this off tank.
I think if you're the Knights, though, you got to be happy with the way you showed up in game number 1. You go to 7 points with Team Envy on the world stage where they won it last year. What a way to start off this first semifinal. The question, it was always, how would this matchup go? Underdog and the Knights, defending world champs in Envy. And well, ladies and gentlemen, you know how this one's going to go. It goes to 7 points in map number 1. Does map number 2 have the same? Wait and find out.
Welcome back, Paladins fans, here to the Alienware Consortium of Analytical Authority. A little bit less authority now, but still the same power of analysis here. Kresnik and myself, Pretty Hair, on the stage, ready to guide you through. I mean, that game number 1 already off to a hell of a start here. 20-plus minutes on Timbermill. I don't know what the hell I was expecting at this point in the semifinals of the Paladins World Championship.
It's a hard map to push, but both teams were playing very well, I think. The little micro plays that were making differences. That first defense was on the back of one Dread Serpent by Cuss, forcing them to get off of the cart at the last second.
That's the type of plays it's going to take, man. High efficiency. You need to make great use of all of your resources. That's a tough one to lose either way you slice it. everyone's had those 25, 30-minute rank gains on Timbermill, and you just want to turn off the computer after that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for these players, they have to play through the rest of this best of 7. A lot of great highlights to talk through after the first game. I'm looking here at some Rock Monkey plays. We know he's got to be big all tournament long, but I got to say, man, taking the cake for me this time was Rubu. I mean, you said undying through the first 2 rounds. Hell of a KD, playing like a man possessed last year's MVP, and he has already come out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, this is a man who wants to repeat MVPs for sure. We said Rock at first. Rock started a little slow, but picked up over time.
A little bit.
And Rubu made so much room for his team, just unkillable in a lot of ways. And that's against a Mave. That's not the easiest matchup in the world. Mave has those arcing daggers that make it very easy to get over Khan's personal shield.
You talked about the micro plays. That's the angle Simsala was trying to get, right? He's either missing those daggers high or he's getting the damage that he wants. So many Rubu highlights because this man was playing largely on his own. That's what you talked about, though. That's what's important when picking front lines on Timbermill.
Yeah, you want to have that self-sustain, and Khan can buy so much time.
So we're not so worried about Toki's slash line, right? That's just kind of the way that has to go?
I think so, because of Inara Genos, right? I think maybe with another healer, he could have done a little better, but Rubu, without the damage boost, might have not gotten as many kills as he did. You want that damage on your Khan to help him get those kills kind of on his own, while he can make room to push them into Rock's sightline.
Let's talk a little bit about that first pick, about the Willow herself. How do you feel Random Noob fared? Was he able to do his job and what he wanted to do, despite Rukata's hit scan pressure?
I mean, low on the kills, but high on the damage, and that's kind of all you want from your Willow, especially when Rukata didn't even end up with a lot of kills either, but he was hitting everything. Every time we watched Rukata, I saw an Eminence into a shot, into an immediate auto-aim cancel. They were all connecting. One of them much easier than the other two, but still, he was hitting everything.
Random Noob set out to make Zarini's life a living hell, and I think he did just that. That needs to continue, though. Serpent Beach, like I said, Timbermill, no matter how you slice it, that's a tough one to lose because it's a long, drawn-out map. When you look at it from the Knights' perspective, they were up 3-1. They were poised to close Envy's map pick. That is a huge momentum swing in these best of 7s if you can grab the first 2. The way these sets go is that both teams get a map pick guaranteed. After Serpent Beach, which is right what we're about to play, map number 2, we go into loser's pick. So it's very important that the Knights get this map.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they're feeling confident about the vertical maps in general. They must have felt pretty good about Timber because we're going to Serpent Beach, a map that's almost just as vertical as Timber in a lot of ways. Pushing that payload, trying to get that conversion and get the extra point by the end is very difficult. You're constantly getting rained down on from above.
2 big meta backliners at the moment, Willow and Strix. Strix banned out just by factor of Timbermill in game number 1. However, strong enough of a sniper champion to be played and seen on maps that are not traditionally known for their snipers. I think Serpent Beach is kind of in that category, but like I mentioned, he's just in the spot that we're going to be seeing him. Is he an every map type of character today?
With the level of play that these players have, absolutely. When a sniper can do the same amount of damage, if not more, at point-blank range, you know how lethal he is at range, you want to keep him close. And Barrick picked over Khan for the Knights, and I mean, after the advantage it gave them last round, I'm not too surprised about that. I think Zarini had a pretty solid game, and yes, Toki was stuck with the Inara Genos, but they must feel really confident about that matchup.
Oh boy, a lot of armor, a lot of red locked in for Team Envy. Not 1, but 2 aggressive frontliners. What does this mean for the rest of their composition?
It means that we are seeing a IO, especially on this map for Envy. I mean, we saw, what was the highlight we played from Mr. Hayes? It was an IO Quadra on Serpent Beach, so don't be too shocked to see that coming out again. But the Knights knew it was coming. It's such a tell when you take both off tanks early.
Let's talk about IO, one of the newest supports in the game. Sports an incredibly unique mechanic in Luna, the Wolf. Kresnik, how does it work?
Yeah, for our Smite fans who might be tuning in for the first time to see some Paladins, the way that Aya works, she has a little fox that she can command named Luna, that she can place...
Scotty, y'all. Think Scotty.
Okay, think Scotty. You can place it on the objective and actually contest it. So it allows you to open up your composition a little bit. You don't necessarily need these tanks that are focused on sustaining on an objective under fire. You could just let Luna do it and then get very aggressive with the rest of your composition. But since Envy picked those 2 aggressive tanks to start, Knights immediately counterpick the IO, and the rest of the composition might have to change for it.
Question is, obviously we see this coming from Team Envy. Knights steal away the IO. Is this enough to pull the rug out from Envy? As well, as can they put something together with this IO themselves to make it worthwhile picking?
I think so, because of this Ruckus they're locking in now. A very similar composition from the Knights from last map, almost identical. But a Ruckus diving in with the 25% damage reduction that IO can give you is terrifying. That Ruckus not dying in your backline will destroy your team.
There's a lot of nerves up here today. I think there's something to be said about everyone except Cuss Cutie for the Pittsburgh Knights playing the exact champion they played in game number 1. They are warmed up. They are ready to go. Eevee is being hovered, locked in. Super excited for the new skin, by the way. It's been a couple of years, but we got one in there, boys. We got it coming. Envy, I'm looking out for Random Noob, of course. Eevee was the star of the show for Team Envy last year at DreamHack when they won their world championship. This was the character that really kind of came out of nowhere for them. Can Random Noob do it a second year in a row?
If he has to, it's going to be very difficult just looking at the enemy composition. Not only will Luna potentially go in for stuns on Random if he stays committed too long, but Leon has a lot of auto-aim abilities that'll get Eevee no matter how quickly she's moving. Maeve tends to win those 1v1s. This is a very hard game for Random Noob. He's going to have to play out of his mind.
Again, I feel a lot of good vibes coming from this Team Envious draft. At the end of the day, though, it still feels like the Knights had the strongest pivot, stealing away the IO. Have they put together a winning draft?
I think so. I think it's pressure on G-Bunny for the Knights.
What does this mean if the Pittsburgh Knights cannot win this map? For Envy to take their map pick as well as the Knights moving in to the losers pick phase of this best of 7.
It's definitely a tough mental game. I mean, I believe the Knights lost the first map of their Navi set, so we know they can come back. We have to see them do it again here, potentially, for sure. We know they can, but can they do it now?
All right, folks, Envy took Timber Mill. It's time for the Knights on Serpent Beach. It's my pleasure to throw it over to your casters for game 2.
Well, it's time to find out if Envy can go back-to-back or if the Knights, they have that one final kind of point to push them over their own finish line here, tie up this set. This is a big one for momentum.
And the best thing I think the Knights could have done is strip that IO away. The Khan, the Ashe on this map can control the objective. You can have solo Khan kind of contest, but you're contesting against a Luna and a Barrack. It is not going to be an easy game. Bulldozer probably going to be big. Just as big is going to be Wrecker, but with the way they have it, Cassie, I think, is going to have to play a big role towards the late game. Of course, I'm excited to see what this Eevee can do now that's back in the hands of Random Noob.
That's right, comfort draft for Team Envy, something we've said time and time again throughout this season. High ground control goes over to the Knights early, and that's so important on this map. And this is what that Luna buys you. Look, they're just going to leave her back on the point, garner that percentage for yourself while the other 5 members move forward and fight. You do have Random Noob lurking in the back line, finds a couple shots onto Cuss Cutie. First blood over to Envy.
You can't choose a better target than the healer. It's going to cause a just kind of catacomb here for the Knights. They fall down one by one, kind of a domino effect. One more shot's all it takes here for Random Noob. He's going to be able to find it no problem.
Hey, he has 2, Rock Monkey has 2, and now Team Envy have the chance to zone for point number 1. Pittsburgh Knights looking to fight back out of their base. 60% on the point for Team Envy. First point capture so important on this map. No kills just yet. Rakata slides down. 78% in climbing. They just need one more movement to get in. You might have to throw Simsalo onto that point to get that overtime started. 99% for Team Envy. Nobody in range. Point number 1 to the boys in blue.
Have you ever wondered what it looks like when the highest mobility character and the other highest mobility character chase each other down? That's what you get. Random Noob finds the shot he needs. And Envy are starting this one off on a hot streak. Good kills coming out. Rock Monkey turning it around. Same thing for Random Noob. Both of them 3-0 right now. It is just a complete flip of what we've seen out of them. And even though Tolki this time is the one on, it seems to kind of carry over from what Rubu's performance was last game. He is in the zone, hits that overpowered, clean kills for them. And they start off this push much better than pretty much any of the ones they had on Timberman.
It was only a matter of time before Rock Monkey started to get himself in that streak column. 6 burning away for the Cassie, 2 minutes and 45 seconds into this game. Now if you're the Pittsburgh Knights, tense moments, you have to rely on some of that verticality. Random Noob looking for one more 1v1, trades back and forth. Simpsy finds the daggers. He wins the trade up on the high ground.
Doing everything they can, and the high ground is one of the most important aspects of this map. Normally, you can have a team, they try to draft around stripping that away. You can't get up here, you can't try to find this but because of the way Envy have drafted, you're guaranteed to see Eevee get up there, and anytime Random Noob can find just a single kill, it's going to open up this defense from the Knights. It's going to make it a lot easier to keep that payload going.
What a combination there. The Assert Dominance drops down. Mr. Hayes throws it through time and space right on through. Team Envy grab a couple of kills for themselves, but that's another 1v1 that goes the way of Simsalou. Up on the high ground, that would have been a big turn of events if the Eevee was able to win that engagement. Payload still moves forward nonetheless. Ricotta a little bit caught out up on the high ground, has to choose his positioning carefully here. So if you're Team Envy, you don't have a lot of ultimates to work with. Cuskey gets the kill onto Rubu, and that might be the cue for Team Envy to back off.
And that's one of the biggest moments. This IO has to go big, not just to prove that you can play it, but also to prove that there's a good reason other than stripping it away from Envy that you have it on your roster. Trying to pick something away is always a key strategy, but it has to do something for your team to make it work. Otherwise, they'll run over you, no problem. And right now, he's being able to kind of showcase that, doing every single step, finding these kills, crucial moments, good healing, as well as maybe keeping Luna on the point here just to make sure it stays into overtime if anybody tries to touch it from Envy.
And that is a phenomenal void threat from Mr. Hayes. Simpsy was wreaking havoc up in the sky, but Mr. Hayes said no more to that one. Locked him in place. Overtime likely to begin here with 5 seconds left. Respawns back from the Knights. 5 versus 5 fight here. Cuskey positioning himself well. G-Bunny has the Hexifier. Mr. Hayes gets dove on. Simpsy finds the kill. Rock Monkey looking to turn one back here. G-Bunny caught off in a corner. If you're able to maybe get something going for yourself, things get interesting with the Pittsburgh Knights. They put their foot down, and they're starting to stagger out Team Envy here, and they're going to tie this game.
Ricotta on Leon is just deadly.
It is.
Ricotta on Leon 2 games in a row gives him a second chance at being just as deadly, or maybe even more so as he gets locked in. I think if you can keep him comfortable, especially since he's on the same champion as last map, you're going to start seeing a performance out of him that is going to start kind of contesting Rock Monkey. Early game, Rock Monkey kind of uncontested, and that allowed and kind of opened the door for Random Noob. It opens the door for Tulky. They can all get aggressive, and once that's set, there's not an easy way to fight back if you're the Knights. You're pretty much showcased by this play. But the minute you can get rid of either this Eevee, which Leon is great for, or that Cassie, you start to kind of roll things back in your favor. So Ricotta is one of the bigger players throughout this round.
And I think G-Bunny has drawn a big role as well. The off-tanks for Team Envy, at least through this point in this set, have had a huge impact on both of these games. So G-Bunny looking to keep pace with some of that. Zerini as well. Early trades going out. Rock Monkey very low here, and he's going to back himself off. Overpower, no good from Tulky. That's a big ultimate now missing. Pittsburgh Knights still 5 ultimates strong in control of this mid-fight. Ricotta playing safe, knows that Rubu's just kind of lurking around that corner. Back into the cubby he goes. G-Bunny's gonna get aggressive. Rubu dashes out, but it's 60% for the Knights.
And the best thing, they are able to move Luna around. They kind of keep her on the high ground for stuns. If anyone gets aggressive, you're gonna get stunned out, and that's an easy kill for the Knights. Now they move her onto the objective. They can get aggressive, 5-man push into you, and they lose 1, but they grab 2.
They lose 1, but Zerini, as you mentioned, grabs that second kill. G-Bunny looking to re-engage, 96%. Pittsburgh Knights in a great spot. Rubu's gonna throw down the Assert Dominance, but nobody's back on the point to contest right now. And that results in the Pittsburgh Knights grabbing 1 more point. Point number 2, Team Envy looking to defend.
Already, though, they're starting off pretty much exactly the way you want. Rubu does go down after a little while, but look how zoned out the Knights are just to begin this. Payload hasn't moved at all. It's sitting pretty much right where it spawned. And they've only burned 15 seconds as of right now. But this is one of those maps, a little shorter, a lot easier to get in their face, go for a full press defense, try to lock them away. You're looking at dismounts, which is going to be great for this Eevee and kind of easy to accomplish. Maybe even picks. I mean, Random Noob is on fire right now on this Eevee. If he can keep finding good shots like this, even onto Zerini, there's not much of a chance of him surviving enough to get this payload.
Early game, it was Rock Monkey on the Cassie, burning away at a 6 streak, and now it's Ricotta on that Leon. Again, honestly, on the same vein as Rock Monkey, you're playing with fire. The more times you give Ricotta this champion, because he will make you pay eventually. So far on this offensive push, he's getting his team right back into it as Random Noob has to backpedal. Zerini, 1 more kill onto Tulky, the front line from Envy. Not quite as potent as they were on Timbermill, and 1 more kill from Zerini. Simsalou diving into the back line as well. Suddenly this payload is moving very, very quickly.
And the way things are going, Simsalou, kind of the inverse of the Eevee for this one. He's going to be the one looking to try and maintain and control this high ground. The right level of play and the right amount of kind of commit from the team, Knights can get a lot of people up there to do this. Or you can just play like that, kind of double team, get a shot from the low ground, shot from the high ground, keep them on lockdown, and you keep Envy on their toes.
I think Envy feeling a little bit of pressure. They're going to use that overpower, grab a double kill with their con. Just buy yourself some space as the Pittsburgh Knights. They lose a couple of members. They still have some ultimates. Remember, Gord, this is what we saw on Timber Mill. Envy go up early, the Knights are able to defend, get a cap of their own.
Yeah.
Can't count Team Envy out, not just yet, but the defense is looking good. We might be looking at one more tied game, depending on how these next few trades go. And then the ultimate economy kind of comes into question. What do you hold on to? What do you want to look at for the next mid?
That's the biggest thing. I think if you throw out, you can do kind of one, right? If you're the Knights here. Maybe you want to throw out a Dome Shield and try to go for the conversion. 2-2 is a deadly scoreline, but if you want to, you can try to get up to that 3-1. Yes, it gives comeback mechanic over, but you've got just enough leeway, especially around this last corner.
Ice Storm.
But you need to get far in this last 10 seconds.
Ice Storm was used. Zarini, Void gripped up, Rocket Boots out. Hexafire used now by the Knights. All ultimates starting to fly. No ultimates resulting in kills right now. And once Zarini goes down, things become a lot more dire for the Pittsburgh Knights. G-Bunny keeping things in balance. Overtime reset here by Tulki. And now Team Envy are starting to find the important kills. Rock Monkey finds that angle, finds one more shot. Random Noob finishes this round, and Team Envy tie it up.
And this is twice now the Knights have done something that is a little questionable, and that is just the Ruckus in general. They keep picking it into this Cassie. Rock Monkey,
that's true.
You know he's going to hit his shots. You know he's going to go for Wrecker, especially in this matchup. He is playing the one true counter to your champion, and G-Bunny can't get as aggressive, I think, as they want to. They were kind of in the wrong end of trying to find off-tanks. They let Ash and Khan go to the other side, so it's a little hard to find someone who's going to have the same impact. But you can see in a lot of these moments, if it's not Tulki, it's Rock Monkey. If it's not Rock Monkey, it's Random Noob. G-Bunny just keeps getting locked down. He's 4-6 right now, so he's been able to get a couple of kills, but that Hexafire meant nothing. His pressure meant nothing from the team. Him and Simsalud, normally it's the off-tank and the flank that open up the space. And right now, both of them are on kind of a shaky edge.
Ooh, that was close for Mr. Hayes. Always the potential for a couple kill sweep at the start of these rounds when you have those angles so figured out. Assert dominance, drops down from Rubu, locks up one, Rakata backpedaling, getting some healing as well. In the meantime, Simsy finds one more trade for himself onto Random Noob. Dome Shield drops, Rock Monkey finds the good shots onto G-Bunny, not enough healing to keep Rubu alive. Midnight drops down, Zarini's still alive, and the Pittsburgh Knights, for the moment, are in control.
And this is where things can get very precarious. Again, you put Luna on the point, she captures the objective, you 5-man push forward. You don't get too aggressive, you don't want to put yourself in a position where they just come back and scoop up the point, but you can take it up and get a little more on the side. You can see Zarini still kind of hovering around the objective. Doesn't have the Dome Shield anymore, but long range, long line of sight, going for some kind of sniper shots from him.
Well, you got to turn around since he does end up finding the angle onto Mr. Hayes. That's a big loss here for Team Envy. Toki's able to trade out one, but overtime going down. Overpower used, maybe just to try to get the defense going in your favor. Rakata, in the meantime, from the back line, finds the shots. Pittsburgh Knights with a chance to win.
And this conversion could be it. That's, like you said, all they need. Push this payload. A lot easier said than done for them, as now you're starting to see the items come online. The later the game goes, the better it's going to be for Envy. Again, Wrecker going to hurt this Barret, definitely going to be hurting this Ruckus. But the bulldozers that are coming online make it a little harder for this Luna to stay alive on the objective. Yeah. You can see Envy have gone into 3 of them. Still in tier 2 at the highest. That's usually enough damage from 2 members of Envy to get rid of that Fox. So far, they've hit no snacks. They have just been pushing pretty smoothly for the first 50%. 35 seconds down, they've got a minute 50 to go. And the Knights, they're rolling it in.
And look at those silhouettes. They're already up onto the high ground. That's the hardest part of this map to break. Team Envy, they dig in those heels, get a couple trades up on that high ground. They don't want to give that up that easily. Rakata looking for the angles, rounds the corner. Rock Monkey, though, he stands tall. The Cassie just looking for a couple more shots. Rubu looking to stay alive as well, but it's one Leon against the world at this point. And this offensive push fizzles out just for the moment, but a minute and 20 seconds left.
Doing pretty much everything they can at that point. The tanks are down. Rock Monkey, like you said, kind of has to dig his heels in to make sure things go the way he wants. He's in the carry corner, as it would be. A lot of good vision, not only on the payload, but he can go right up to the high ground. Pretty much good vision from anywhere he wants. And the biggest thing is trying to get to him. You have to break through 3 members of Envy to get this done, or hope for some really nice long-range shots, which as of right now, Knights are too distracted to get anywhere.
Hexafire is going to get used one more time by G-Bunny. Through time and space, counters it out. First blood in this engagement. Goes for Rakata. Rubu drops down, shoulder bash out, up, down with the assert dominance. This time it connects, but Rock Monkey in the back line finds the kill. Rubu staying alive, be gone. It grabs one, sends him away. But in the meantime, Team Envy are winning the rest of this fight. Rock Monkey continuing to go huge. 30 seconds left. Pittsburgh Knights still got a chance, but a triple kill from Rock Monkey locks this down.
Just keeping things in their corner. Again, locking it down. for Envy. You can't always count on the tanks. Again, that was a beautiful Pagon from Cuss, knocking the Ashe out of that Assert Dominance. It gives her immunity, but only while she's within the range of it. Once she's off the map, she's off the map. That's going to make it a lot easier. Zarini lives through the overpower, and that's going to give them time for overtime.
Now the Pittsburgh Knights, one more time, are going to re-engage. Zarini, this time, finally goes down with the Dome Shield in back pocket. Now you're fighting without your point tank. If you're the Pittsburgh Knights, moving in, Rakata needs to find this trade, unable to do so. G-Bunny rounds the corner, gets the kill onto that Cassie. Rakata into the Enlightenment, snags the kill onto Random Noob. They're going to continue pushing forward. Luna in the perfect spot, shoulder bash out from Rubu, buys him a little bit of time.
Keeps Zarini alive though, Dome Shield available, Dome Shield down, and it's going to be able to buy them some more space. Tolki's out of here.
They're moving in, payload inching closer. Rubu is so low at this point. Simsi finds the kill onto the healer. Rakata with the long range shots as well. This payload so close to going in Envy's face. A triple kill from Simsi, and that wins this game.
And it's exactly what they needed from him. Again, early game, very quiet, very patient from Simsi. Gets put on the back foot early on with a point from Envy. But it comes up big when they need it, very similar to how we saw Random Noob coming up in the early game. Flipping out the script for them in the flank department opened up a lot of space for them, as well as made it a lot easier for IO to shine, as well as your tanks and off tanks. I mean, if it wasn't for him, you don't really have Zarini coming back.
And I think that's exactly what the Knights need in this set. You go a long 7 points on Timber Mill. This one drags on a little bit longer as well. And for a while there, Gort, it looks like Envy are going to be able to stall out that defense, force one more 0.7, but Knights were able to get the win.
And a 0.7 in that case, it gets shaky, right? You're coming in, they had just used the Midnight from Simsaloo, and I was on the fence about it. It did not look like it was going to accomplish anything that they wanted on the Knights. If it hadn't been for Luna, if it hadn't been for that corner kind of playing the way they did for the Knights, they would not have had the way to hold on to that. They would not have gotten Zarini back. That Dome Shield saved the game and kind of gave them the space.
Well, a close game one. It continues here in game two. We're tied up with a tiebreaker game three right after this.
I was looking for this. I will have your soul. Come and get it. Son of a... Suffer for this. You're ridiculous. I like you. Ooh, that's going to leave a mark.
At Tiberius. Can't wait to get my hands on with him, get a little bit of the action, guys. We are equalized here after 2 games. Serpent Beach goes the way of the Pittsburgh Knights there. I have to commend them for the confidence with which they took that final conversion. 16 seconds on the clock. Everybody's starting to trickle back in for the Knights. Tolki hits him kind of with the snap conversion. Does that surprise you, being such an integral ultimate being used to kind of put the nail in the coffin on that defense, and it ultimately didn't work out?
Yeah, I was really surprised when that overpower came out on the barrack.
I will say it's not the most impactful ultimate on the point fight of Serpent Beach, so I could see the merit in it being used to hold the defense there. It's a save it for next game type of situation. Envy needed to hold that defense, and they did not. Quick look here at the post-game stats, couple of numbers for you. What story can they kind of tell you, Kresnik?
I think Rakata's dominance is the biggest thing here. The only person with triple digits, and you can see the pressure they had to put on him. You saw the Ashe kind of shoving across up top just to try to zone him out, but it never really mattered. The IO pocket was too much for Rubu to burn through.
He was clicking away. I think G-Bunny has done well on this ruckus as well, but we want to take a deeper dive, I think, into Rakata's performance there, and just this guy overall. I wouldn't call him a newbie at this point. He is of the newer school, newer blood. He's not cutie in terms of his age and his relevance in the scene, but Rakata has been one of my favorite people, I think, to get to know this year. Very cerebral guy. Really, really a good captain, good communicator, and I think a good leader for this Pittsburgh Knights squad.
It's a big flip from what people knew him for originally, I think. I mean, those who didn't know Ricotta personally probably just saw him as the aim guy.
Yeah.
He always posted about mice and has this running
he has
gag
like
about
40 mice, man. He's always just trying to.
He has this running gag about the Ricotta theorem.
Yeah, exactly.
As talking goes up, aim goes down.
Yep.
But you wouldn't think that talking to him. He really, I think, understands the game at a great level, and you can tell by the way he's just using his abilities in these fights. He's keeping himself so safe. Really knows the limits of what he can get away with on these characters.
Absolutely one of my favorite people in the scene to talk to, give some of the best interviews, I think, for the Knights, and going to be important to anchor this Pittsburgh Knights team, specifically that man, Cuscuti. Can be a little emotional at times. The highs are highs and the lows are lows. I'm looking at Ricotta to try and keep things even keel heading through there, but this is exactly what both of these teams wanted. I think this is not best case scenario, it is not worst case scenario, it is exactly probably what you plan for. A close loss there on Timber Mill, and the Knights end up taking their own map. This is the loser's pick phase, though, so map 3 will be selected by Team Envy. This is where things get spicy. Both teams wanting to lead with their best foot forward. Now we have to see what they have left in the tank.
I gotta say, though, I think it means that the Knights look a little bit better. That Envy's map, super close, super contested.
Yeah.
Knights' map, close at the start, but Knights pull away quickly. And Warders Gate's going to be an interesting one. I don't think this is really a highlight map for either team. So for me, this is Envy kind of finding a potential weakness in the map pool of Knights.
Something that kind of a presenter that you have set for me, this is a ruckus map. This is one of the, I think, highest tier maps for that character. A character that hasn't been super, super impactful or valuable for a lot of teams. Really, it's come down to a couple of players getting in the groove with a rhythm-based character who's all about the dive, who dies a lot, but it's all about, can you live a life worth talking about? What can you do before you go down swinging?
Well, I mean, the reason why he's so good on this map is because of that crystal, too. It lets you dive in. It gives you better options. The old talent pick for Ruckus before Rocket Barrage became just existed at all was Aerial Assault, because Ruckus's dive potential was made exponentially better by having that verticality. Crystal on this map that gives you that little hover float potential can let you go so far into the back while still maintaining the damage that Rocket Barrage gives you.
A very kind of even keeled ban phase here through the first 2 games, now 3 games. Willow, Makoa, Atlas, Strix sat down yet again on Warders Gate. Eric selected away first. The Knights will go with Khan, Ruckus, telegraphing a very aggressive front line for them. Is this the instant IO takeaway from Envy? Are they going to try to do the same thing to the Knights that the Knights did to them?
Looks like they are, for sure. It's very smart. Khan, Ruckus, double off tank. You always are going to want IO with that. It does leave Genos open potentially, though, but that means that the Knights have to end these fights fast. If you don't win quickly, the point time that Luna put on the point by IO is getting is almost insurmountable. So tough to turn it around.
The Knights looking to take one of the better matches away, so not only is Ruckus very important for his ability to stay in the air, keep favorable angles on those crystal jump jets. The casters were talking about how difficult of a matchup it is to play into big game Cassie. Now that G-Bunny doesn't have to worry about that, does his potential to carry the game increase?
For sure, and I think Bunny's doing a good job at throwing his life away. It sounds weird to say that, but that kind of is just the Ruckus.
That's the name of the game.
Life. It's the name of the game. It's what you have to do on Ruckus. How much can you do before you inevitably go down, and having Cassie out definitely increases your survival potential for sure. Also, having Cassie and Khan, I think, is going to make things a lot harder for Rubu on the other side. Ash does not like getting knocked back, does not like getting overpowered.
We're floating around like the same 12-ish characters for this set so far. Both of these teams know what they want. Now switching things up just a little bit here. The Knights are hovering Furia. Cuscuti,
speaking of aggressive,
has played the Genos. Wanted to play the IO last game, now toying with the idea of Furia. What does she bring to the table, and how does she supplement this composition for the Knights?
The reason you pick Furia over Genos is because you want to go in. Her healing, good, nothing too crazy, but her ultimate, Inflame, 30% damage boost, 30% speed boost, you are going in. And that might be the difference maker that the Knights think will kind of give them the edge over that IO.
She provides that damage amplification that Genos does. However, it's a little bit more window-based, but when it's there, it's screaming. 30% movement speed on top of that. It's an 8-second team-wide. It's nearly global, I mean, in terms of the range of application.
Don't use it in spawn.
But is that going to be enough, right? The Knights kind of have to fight around these windows of opportunity and use these inflames Is that providing you enough opportunities to take down Team Envy?
With how quickly Inflame charges, I think it could be, but Envy, I think the patient play might be enough to flip it around.
I really, really like that. That's the point of it all, right? I mean, this Enflame ultimate, when you're doing damage and healing on top of that, it's available multiple times per round. Cuskcutie, it's a real smoke 'em if you got 'em type of situation here. Quick final thoughts on both drafts. Who do you like?
I like the Knights draft, but I don't know. I think it might be too hard to overcome Io.
All right, guys. Io, the name of the game. A bit of a late bloomer here in the season, but her priority can no longer be understated. It's time for Game 3.
Thank you very much, Nick. And much like the crowd here at DreamHack Atlanta, this game is split. Envy with 1, Pittsburgh Knights with 1. Now a deciding Game 3, Gormizer. This best of 7 has quickly become a best of the next 5.
And exactly the way we saw during the qualifiers, Io kind of skyrocketing in terms of priority. Not enough to be first pick just yet, but she started to become a huge aspect, especially towards the end of the qualifiers, into the quarterfinals. And it's not surprising to see it here today to do this well. But it does depend on what exactly we're going to see out of Mr. Hayes for this one. It's a completely different playstyle. You kind of have to micromanage everything you have going on for you. And so a lot of focus around for him. But between him and, again, a Barrick, you're going to have everything kind of going your way. Good shots, good damage, good control of the objective. They're already up 45, 48 to 3.
Yeah, if nothing else, they have 60% on the point, looking for a little bit more zone. Pittsburgh Knights are going to send Simpsy through, but he blinks right back. First blood in the back line. Random Noob finds the kill on a G-Bunny, but Ricotta now on that pass. He gets the trade right back out on the Maeve. He's backpedaling as Rubu pushes himself forward, but Toki around the corner finds the important shot onto Ricotta. Rubu as well getting involved. 81% from Team Envy, and they got the kills.
And 90% still ticking up. They're getting shots left and right, and they've got that Eevee running away, tail between her legs. And in this case, the Knights don't really have much to hold against them.
What a perfect way to start this game if you're Team Envy. Clean, concise, and fast. They go up 1-0, almost at the snap of your fingers as the Pittsburgh Knights now are looking to defend for the next 2 minutes. But Gore, this payload has not stopped at all.
That's the hard part, especially right now. They got the Inflame. That's the only ult they were able to charge up on the Knights during the first part of this round. It's going to be big, though. 30% damage increase as well as movement speed that you're going to have flung right back at you if you're Envy when that's popped. Although they're looking to hold on to it for now. Ice Storm going to come out just for some zone. And they finally do get a little bit of a stall.
Watch out, though. The stall is quickly crumbling as Tolkien makes his way forward. A double kill on the Barrack. Keeps things difficult here for the Pittsburgh Knights. Payload still inching closer with 1.5 minutes left. So much time you have to defend here if you're the Knights. G-Bunny is going to move all the way back to base, maybe spend some credits, get himself healthy one more time before what could be the final battle here. And notice they just leave Luna on that payload.
It's perfect, too. They leave Luna out there. It's still moving forward. G-Bunny kind of goes around to try and get a positional advantage out of a different spawn door. Doesn't work too well for him there, at least in terms of getting kills. Does get a good zone, forces Envy to fall back. And he's going deep. He knows exactly where he wants to go. He knows exactly who he wants to get rid of, and he's looking for the kills.
Rock Monkey just needs one more shot into the ice block. Goes Simpsaloo, but he turns around onto the Leon, and Rubu is able to keep things even here for Team Envy. The payload's so close, still being contested back on the point. Team Envy with 3 kills to the Pittsburgh Knights 1. And now just these last couple of trades could decide point number 2. Be Gone is available if they really want to spend it. Random Noob says you might not need to. Gets the kill on a G-Bunny. Toki as well into the ice block. Down goes Simpsy, soaring away. Be Gone used one more time. That might buy him enough space, and it does.
Just locking down anyone that you need to. Safety precaution for the Be Gone, right? It's just kind of like you're not getting an extra touch. You're not going to be able to dive down out of spawn. We're going to make sure this goes in. 2-0. And a pretty convincing Warder's Gate so far from Envy. It's definitely a rough look for the Knights coming into this one. They have a lot to change. More focus off tanks. How you fight on the side lanes on this map gives more credence to how that point fight goes than anything. But the problem is you can't just focus there. On a normal 5v5 without having IO available in this, you have point tank v point tank, and then everybody else is on the side having a skirmish. In this case, you've got point tank and Luna, nobody from the Knights being able to hold it up. And with Mr. Hayes not dying, you have to figure something out fast.
And I think the damage charts tell the story of this game. Top 4 for Envy, only Mr. Hayes down towards the bottom. Everyone firing on all cylinders. And it's the frontliners and the healers that now are on streaks for Team Envy. It's been the way the first couple of rounds of this game has gone. Pittsburgh Knights looking to get themselves on the board, have fast cap, assert dominance flying through from Rubu, box up the back line, but really nobody there for him to fight with. Zarini does connect on that overpowered. You have to make sure you get him off the map. Oh, he's able to make it right back on Random Noob. He stays alive.
Not for long, though. Cuss Cutie comes up, makes sure he gets everything he needs, but they trade it out. The support gone for the Knights. Meanwhile, Io still alive and thriving here for Envy. It's not going to be enough to get them back on the objective, but it keeps them healed up, keeps them around the fight, and keeps them just close enough. But Inflame, 93%. Cuss is going to have that soon. Once he's back, that's going to be a team fight winner for the Knights.
Ice Storm as well for them. Enlightenment, yes please, says Rock Monkey, but G-Bunny trades back with a double kill. There's the Inflame you're talking about. The Pittsburgh Knights have the numbers. They're going to look to push forward and push this advantage into their favor. They stall out at 85%. Random Noob, he's still in this fight. He gets the kill onto Simsy. No stun, no good. Toki stays alive. Zarini with the big double kill. Onto the point go the Pittsburgh Knights, and onto the board goes a 1.
I thought for sure Toki was going to be able to do something with that. He kept getting away just by a sliver of a hair that was coming through. Around the corner every single time, just enough distance between him and G-Bunny. Wasn't enough to get him out of combat, healing high enough to contest the point, stay alive. Got the dome shield, but wasn't able to get back in time. And much like Envy, Knights are off to a pretty good start to this payload push. Unfortunately, they do have some thorns in their side and in the back that are causing some trouble for them. Once Eevee gets back there, the Maeve gets back there, it causes a lot of trouble. Very similar to what you see out of the Eevee. Can cause a lot of trouble. Random Noob, Rock Monkey, Tolki, Rubu. It's a checklist for the Knights.
And now they're starting to move. And look at the kind of mirror that we see in the streaks, the healer and the 2 frontliners for the Pittsburgh Knights. They're starting to streak out here in this game. It's been a tug of war so far. Pittsburgh Knights with a great chance to tie up game 3 in this best of 7 set. Damage number still on Team Envy's side. One last final fight maybe. Toki gets the kill, but immediately traded out by Simsaloo. Rock Monkey has a great angle here. Mr. Hayes, he has a better one, gets the kill, slides on in. The Leon looking for some damage, but Simsy into the ice block, dodges out so much damage, but he gets absolutely melted out by Rubu. There's still 1 minute and 15 seconds left, but a triple kill from your Ash is a great way to start.
Just doing, again, everything in his power to keep this going. It's Timbermill all over again. He is trying to do what the team doesn't seem to be able to, although this time Rock Monkey's right behind him, dealing out just as much, if not more damage for him to make sure those triple kills go his way. Kind of the anti-flank worked perfectly against the Eevee. Gonna see how it works this time around because Simsaloo has a target in mind. But it's these two again, the power combo coming down. A good stun, that's a good kill.
That's right, Rubu is locking down this back corridor here. Kills still for Team Envy. A great look at maybe their 3rd point in this game if this continues to stagger out this way. Rakata, fancy footwork, saves his life just for a moment. But here's the big zone from Team Envy. They're able to fully break the Knights' offense, and now they can draw that line.
Now the question's going to be how important it was to have that assert dominance. The dome shield as well. The Be Gone, the Enlightenment, all of them not going to be available at the end of this round. It's going to take a little bit. And Flame coming through. That's Knights saying, we want to tie this up. We want to go 2-2. It's at least going to get them back to the objective. No big kills, though, while they have it. They get rid of Mr. Hayes. That's going to open up the door.
And Rock Monkey, look at this flank from Zarini. They round the backside and get 3 kills for themselves, make it 4. It's Random Noob against the Knights here, but he's going to backpedal back to base. Pittsburgh Knights, they're going to convert this payload, and this game is tied.
Good shots. I like the way they're zoning it, keeping them locked in the base. None of the tanks are available for Envy, so they can't take any crucial steps forward without taking too much damage. And staying alive, a lot of it actually on the back of the guy in the middle there. Cuss doing pretty much everything in his power with that Inflame to make sure his team stays alive, keeps moving forward. Winning those team fights, it's crucial, and he used it a little early at the end there, but it was just enough carryover that you see Simsaloo pick up a kill immediately onto Mr. Hayes, kind of open the door with the support being gone. A lot easier to walk forward towards their base, unfearing of Tolki and Rubu, who have otherwise been demolishing you every time you take their fight.
Well, it's been Rubu, Mr. Do-It-All for Team Envy here today, with great moments from Rock Monkey, Random Noob as well. Pittsburgh Knights, they have kept pace throughout this entire game. Call them underdogs, call them whatever you want, but they have fought tooth and nail. They're going to do so Let's tie up this set, looking for a little bit more. Rakata and G-Bunny, they start off this round with a few for their team. Now a little bit caught out as that caster. You're able to get the kill. Rubu finally finds the important shot onto Rakata, but it's about all Team Envy are getting here as G-Bunny finds the angle. Pittsburgh Knights, they lose 1, but they get 5.
And Cuss just showing off the best part of it. Doesn't need the inflame. He's going to be able to get in here for the fight anyway. He's top of the healing charts, about 20,000 ahead there, but his damage is being applicable in this game. Just something that Io does bring, which is not as much as Furia when she's on fire here. Once that passive, that little bar you see above her cooldowns is full, she has increased fire rate. She's hitting just harder, faster, and a lot stronger here for the Knights. It's 99%, and they're looking to close this out.
Yeah, and they get one more kill onto Rubu as well. That's going to be Tolki using the Dome Shield just to sustain himself, but you got one more in flame in this fight if you're the Pittsburgh Knights. Tolki's able to grab one, but G-Bunny again, he sustains himself throughout this fight, and he's able to trade out, but a double kill from the Barrack maybe keeps things interesting. Failsafe up, failsafe down, overtime over. Pittsburgh Knights, they go to 3.
And now they're looking for the conversion. We've seen countless times teams go down 2-0 on this map and then flip it for a 4-0 sweep. Knights have been one of them in the past, and they could do it again right here if they want to. Envy haven't had much of a leg to stand on for the last couple of mid-fights. And even though last time they had some pretty decent defenses, it wasn't enough at the end of the game, or the end of the round, I should say. And now they're facing the end of the game if they can't do it this time.
Gore, I think the closest game we've had in this one was 6 points. So we are obviously in a very close situation here where neither team is prepared to let the other run away with it. Pittsburgh Knights are going to look to break this tie with their 4th point in this game. Sometimes all it takes this close in is just one pick. Knows that Rock Monkey's very low around that back pillar. Simsalu's here to help as well. They get nothing. They back off. The disengage is in from Envy. They stay alive, but Rubu drops down the assert dominance. They're looking to fight a little bit more, and the fight is going their way.
The thing about an assert dominance that aggressive, though, that is just, please don't push me back to my base. It's a desperation ult. It does keep the ground for him, though, and it keeps him alive, keeps him afloat right now. But there's 1:20 for the Knights to respawn, recollect, get back onto the objective. All of the questions fall down onto Envy, and it's how far they want to push forward. How much of this defense do you want to get aggressive in? There's not a lot of land, really, that you can take a good stand outside of your base. So the Knights are going to be able to fight back no problem. They've got the inflame, they've got the overpower, they've got the tools in their toolbox to win this one.
That's an ice storm from Simsy. Gets random noob chunked down, but enough healing from Mr. Hayes keeps him in the fight. That's a 3-man push on this right-hand side from the Knights. They're going to use the inflame as well. Team Envy have to back off or at least play defensively. Rubu's not able to escape as Simsy finds the first kill. 40 seconds remaining. 8 seconds left on his respawn timer. Overpower connects onto Tolki. That's 2 down now from Team Envy. Payload inching itself so close, and Envy are going to have to jump down.
We saw what Bigon could do earlier when you're trying to convert it. Now we might be able to see what it can do when you're trying to defend. He needs something, but he needs to stay alive more than anything.
Mr. Hayes is able to sustain with 3 digits in his health bar. Rubu's stunned down, but he's down onto the payload. Dome shield used from Tolki. They don't want to let this one go. A double kill from the Ash keeps them involved. Random new back from the respawn gets the kill. And with 10 seconds left, it looks like Envy have just tied this game.
Pushing it once again to a 0.7 for us.
Maybe.
Managed to maintain. They're still in the neighborhood looking for something. Not going to be able to touch Rubu. They were like right there in that awkward area, right? Yeah.
Never be too sure.
As they're looking for it. But Envy do invest a lot. Same thing for the Knights, just to try and get that. The conversion doesn't happen. The defense gives them that 3rd point if you're Envy. But you don't have a dome shield. It's a dangerous game to be going into a round. They might be able to charge it up. I did see Inflame, I believe, sitting in the 80s, maybe a little higher as they come through. And that's a big winner. I mean, you can go down early on in the round and still use this Inflame to get back into the fight. So the Knights can't be counted out. Envy obviously can't be counted out because they're not willing to just roll over and let the Knights win this one. But there's not a lot that they have going for them. They did maintain the assert dominance, though, which might be the biggest thing. Just have one of your tanks readily available to defend, and that can keep you just contesting a little longer. Stop the percentage from going up for the Knights. Keep them under control.
Oh, your set is tied at 1, and your tie-breaking game is tied at 3. A big momentum shift here for whichever team is able to come out with the win. Assert dominance in the backline from Rubu. Buys him a little bit of space. Able to find the kill. Rubu finds that last shot onto Zareni. Immediately disengaged, though. He goes off the map. This Rakata looks for a little bit more. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far, but now the Inflame for the Knights is going to push them forward.
They got to do anything they can with it. They're down 50% already. Bigon going to be able to push him back a little bit.
Whoa.
You can see Cuss locked pretty far away. Luckily, line of sight healing means that he's going to be just fine keeping his tanks alive. They're going to try to match this 54% Envy got. Ults are starting to come up for Knights now, and that's even more dangerous to be playing with if you're Envy.
But that Inflame is now back to 30%. You might not have that, likely won't have that for the end of this game. Simpsy drops the Ice Storm. Rubu, no escape from that one. The Eevee starting to warm up now for the Pittsburgh Knights, and what a time in a 0.7 fight. But Toki in the backline gets the kill onto the healer for the Pittsburgh Knights, with Rock Monkey getting involved as well. Simpsy flies himself forward, but he's hanging out behind that shield as Toki, and he's able to stay alive. 90% now for the Pittsburgh Knights. Serini so low. Toki with the important shot, looking for one more on Rakata, who dodge rolled away. It's the frontliners for Team Envy who are finding themselves the kills here, and it's Simpsy now who has to back away. 90% for Team Envy. Midnight drapes down. G-Bunny stunned out. One final shot from Toki, one final shot from Random Noob, and maybe one final fright from Envy breaks this tie.
Doing anything. Wait, Zarini's still here to get overtime. Not going to be enough, though. The team kind of in shambles as they come through. They're running up one-on-one, a Dome Shield to seal the deal. Looks like they're trying to fight for overtime with the Knights. They throw everything they have. It was just kind of misuse of ults. A good stagger from Envy onto the tanks as well. There's not enough players to come through and kind of keep that overtime going, at least not in a way that you feel like you can actually contest it. Once Zarini went down, he had the shield up, and the minute it dropped, he was gone. He almost got out of there, dropped down the staircase, was looking to kind of go into the underpass under the payload, or under the point. Didn't matter. They got the last shot, and that was kind of the ceiling factor for Envy.
Gormeister, this is a matchup where you're talking Rakata and Simsaloo in pregame pretty consistently, and Rock Monkey and Random Noob as well. It's been the front lines in these 3 games that have been getting it done.
Rubu and Tulki are having different levels of games right now, and that's kind of been the big factor. I mean, early game, Timber Mill, it's all Rubu. These last couple of games, Tulki, especially on that barrack during Warder's Gate, was the ceiling deal for them. That plus the Luna gives them point control, gives them objective control. The Knights couldn't do anything.
Well, this set has been back and forth through the first 3 games. We've gone back to Envy. Let's see if we go 4th to the Knights in game 4.
I only get stronger as the game goes on.
Across time and space I hunt you.
I am the hero you need. You are excellent. Hail to the king. I will turn the tables.
Let the silence of space consume you.
Spicy skins there in the HRX digital loot pack for you Smite fans out there. But we're here, the first semifinal of the Paladins World Championship. My name is Pri here, of course, joined by Kresnik, guiding you through this first one between Envy and the Pittsburgh Knights. Envy just pull ahead there by the skin of their teeth on Warder's Gate. I have to say, all these games have felt pretty damn close right up until the end, especially when you're looking at Envy's map pick. What goes wrong there for the Knights on the final map?
I think throughout the whole thing, Knights had really good ult management. They were using it at the right times, but as that last fight came in, Cuss gets picked early. The rest of the team, they could have backed up. They had cap time advantage, but instead they stayed and fought. Health went down, no way to get it back up because Envy's not letting them stay out of combat. They kept that pressure up, and since they went down, they didn't have a chance to fight again afterwards.
Taking a quick pick here at some of the numbers after the fact. Rakata 6-12 on the Cassie. Traditionally one of the champions that I always get most excited to see from him. Incredible performances for the most part, but a bit of a struggle there on Warder's Gate. The front line for Team Envy. Look at those, 16-7, 15-9, Rubu and Tulki. What a duo on the front line. I mean, these guys locking it down, not only getting these capture point advantages, keeping them in, keeping control of the map and the pace of these fights for Team Envy, but finishing the kills sometimes there as well. What can't they do?
They can't lose, apparently. The aggression that they had with that composition. I was originally worried about Tulki going into this game because of his performance in the earlier 2, but stats come up halfway. I see 9-4. I'm like, oh. And he's sustaining. He doesn't even need to hold that point. He's got IO for that. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I think Tulki, outside of Timbermill, where he had that, you know, admittedly expected sort of slash line without much healing on Inara, he has been incredible for the rest of the day. Rubu, this is his bread and butter. I think it's a little bit more, not necessarily surprising, but a little bit more out of the comfort zone for Tulki to be fragging as heavily as he has today. This is a lot of aggressive nature compositions coming out from Team Envy, and I think Tulki has really risen to the challenge so far.
For sure, and I also think having Io in the composition helps a lot too. When you're playing in a team, right, and you want to focus down a target, you think about what you can get away with, right?
Yeah.
Someone suddenly getting 25% damage reduction because of Io's Goddess's Blessing talent, that can really turn your head. So you think you can kill a tank, suddenly they are unkillable, and it lets them get away with murder sometimes.
Let's talk a little bit more about this. This is one of the newest supports in the game, Io. We talked about the mechanics with Luna, how this box deployable can capture the objective. She can push the payload, all types of fun stuff. But it was a bit of a slow start for this character in terms of competitive play. Why is it now? Is it just that natural discovery process teams had to go through to really recognize the value of the character?
They definitely had to figure her out. She's very complicated compared to some of our other supports for sure. A lot of different mechanics, people kind of toying around with, am I running Lifelink? Am I running Goddess Blessing?
Yeah.
But once they finally figured out that niche, hey, we can just get super aggressive, it really opened her up.
Black, and blue all through the map so far. We're headed to Splitstone Quarry. Again, losers picked. So the Knights lost Warder's Gate. They have selected to take the set to Splitstone Quarry. So far, it's actually going to be Io sat down here. Willow, meaning one of the characters that has been getting banned out, Strix, Makoa, Atlas. One of them will be making it through. Who's it going to be?
My guess is going to be Strix, especially since Knights can first pick it here as well. So if they think we ban, that's surprising to me. Now we're going to see two getting through. Knights, I don't know if that's a good look. You want 1 or 3 things to get through, I think, if you're on the other side. Now Knights can get one thing, but then Envy will get a response and something else to go with it. Maybe they get their biggest counter out of the way. I think when it goes this way, I think the second pick team ends up better off.
Splitstone, one of the maps where I think flanks are of the highest priority, the mobility to get across the map. We're looking at EVs, we're looking at Maves, we're looking at characters that have already shown to be very valuable today, but a lot of those power front lines available. We're talking about Atlas, we're talking about Makoa. The Knights will select Atlas when they have their pick of the litter, the man out of the time. And the deep claims you, Makoa, for the first time here on stage. I see a little plushy Makoa out there in the crowd as well. Shout out to my man with some of the OG merch. A Barrack alongside of it. All frontline priority here through the first 3.
I like the follow-up with Barrack from Envy. Yes, I think it makes it so Cassie gets away. Cassie very good against Makoa. When he uses Ancient Rage, his health pool increases dramatically, meaning big game, percentage health damage, super effective at getting rid of that health pool. But getting Barrack, arguably the better of the 2 point tanks between Barrack and Inara, I think it opens things up. It also forces Knights to go Inara Atlas. No shields. You don't need to get Wrecker. It makes your itemization a little bit better.
Barrack pairing very well with Genos, allowing a continued incredible pairings to come through for Team Envy. Eevee as well. I mean, this is looking very, very difficult to defeat here. The Knights will have to select their support, as well as we expect to be probably an Inara at this point.
More than likely. I think you really need that point presence. Without Io in the draft, you're going to have to lock it down, and it will be Inara. Means that the enemy team can just rush Cauterize or even go the utility items. They can take some damage reduction, some Chronos, anything like that, and I highly doubt that, to be fair. I definitely do not expect
the only way out is through, brother. No, it's going to be the swap off that Tyra. We've seen a lot of compositions this year, Kresnik. Triple tank, quad tank, triple DPS, quad DPS. We have seen very few compositions without a support entirely. Cuss back onto the Furia for this one. They do get Atlas, the man out of time. Very different ban phase this time compared to the first 3 games of the set. 1 pick still on the board for Team NB. I gotta say, I'm leaning their way, and this could be big. This would be the first time they're able to pull ahead. They're able to put the Knights on the ropes. They can steal away Splitstone.
And I think this last pick might actually be Victor for Envy, thinking about it. Leon would probably be the more standard safe pick, but I think Victor is phenomenal into Atlas and Inara. Having him on the high ground, very hard to contest, duels pretty well into the Mave. But Leon, some people prefer into the Mave for that CC immunity in the Enlightenment. It cleanses the Midnight from the Mave, so the dive potential really isn't quite there. And the auto aim, of course, against the flankers is super impactful and does turn that matchup in.
I like that you bring up Victor, though. I think it's a good opportunity to kind of shout out the boy himself. Kind of that tutorial character, right? Very simple on the surface, but has his nuances and just puts out the absolute pain. I mean, an incredible character when you can get dialed in on him. It was hovered on Timbermill, eventually locked in Leon on that first map, but it will be Leon again for Team Envy. I have to say, nothing really changed my opinion there in the last couple of picks. I'm still feeling Team Envy's draft. What are your thoughts?
I think it kind of is, I mean, with how Rubu's been playing, do you give him Makoa?
It's the Cassie. It's a big game into Makoa. That's it, right? If Ricotta can't go big, he just had kind of a scuffed game, 6-12 on Warder's Gate. If he can't shake that off, it's going to be big trouble for the Knights.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for them to overcome. And Makoa, when you give it up, it's kind of a vibe check to the other team. Most of the time, it's like, how good are you playing? But you're three games into Rubu, almost carrying multiple. This is not the time to give him Makoa.
I know, Rubu's had a phenomenal day. The Envy front line has looked like they're playing for the whole kit and caboodle here. It's time for Splitstone Quarry, game number 4, a chance for Envy to really pull out ahead. Casters, take it away.
Well, we're down to Splitstone Quarry. 2-1 is where we stand. Team Envy, this is my favorite scoreline. You get a big flip here, Gormizer. You're either up 3-1 or we're tied right back at 2. And look at the champions. We're so used to seeing kind of that trade of 12 champions and 12 champions back and forth. We get a little Atlas, we get a little Makoa.
And it's so weird to say this. Makoa, 9 times out of 10, I'm taking him over Atlas. I think he's way more impactful. That hook is just very difficult to count against. But when you look at Atlas, you look at the layout of Splitstone Quarry, you get hit scan, you get 900 damage if he's able to hit it, 1,300 on a headshot. Pretty much everything you need and more, but those kind of hooks are what's going to cause trouble for G-Bunny.
You have to be careful. So much of Atlas revolves around that kit cooldown, your second chance, your setback. It's a 18 to 20 second cooldown depending on what he's running. You can still see it's down from the beginning of the game. 5 seconds left. Has to throw up that wall to mitigate so much of that damage. Rubu, you hear the hook ring out, but Ricotta finds the damage for the first blood in this game. Pittsburgh Knights right back in control, and they're on the point.
And just being down one thing is enough to cause a lot of change in the flow of the game. Envy won't be able to fight back too hard, and you can see Knights getting aggressive. They kind of take control of this lower hut. As long as they hold on to this, dismounts are going to be good. Maybe a good hook could get you back into this, but you have to focus on the objective. It's at 87% and no one to contest it.
They have to move forward. I think I saw Tolki maybe hanging out right near that point. He does, but he has to back off at 99%. I think overtime will be ready, but they step off. What a smart play there from the Knights. It's a small moment. They step off the point, reset that overtime timer, and they grab themselves point number 1.
And just being able to get that a second chance for the Atlas. Nice big game Cassie to cause trouble for this Makoa. It's one of those things, he's a power tank, but with the way his shots arc, with the way that his hook is kind of maintained at a length, there's not a lot of people he can get here. He can only go in for the front lines. This is where I think we'll start to see Envy shine. The defense definitely plays to their composition a little more. But going into the next round, specifically for mid-fights, you need Eevee, you need Leon, and they have to do something incredible because Rubu's not there to do it all for you this time.
That's right. I think G-Bunny, again, one more time, he's drawn a tall task. If you're going to first pick that high-priority Atlas, you need to make it look good. Since he's had a couple good games strung together here now for himself, so looking to continue that pace is this Maeve. They use the Midnight, get nothing for it. Now there's a little bit of a stall out here at 1 minute and 30 seconds left. No trades really either way, but if the Pittsburgh Knights grab a few kills, things start to move. You're very close to Envy's base. First ultimate starting to ring out. Zerini drops down that seismic crash, no kills result. He's getting healed, but maybe not enough. That's a great temporal divide, though, from G-Bunny.
I mean, they're trying to do anything they can, but right now it's the temporal divide. It's the control coming through. Simsaloo going to be the 3rd kill there for Envy. They've been able to pick up this time. Really low on G-Bunny in the back, but he's going to be able to kind of slip out. They have a minute left. They still have their main tank standing around here. Zarini's going to be able to get back here. If you can get a good kill, Ricotta's in a different zone right now than I feel like he's been in this entire time. As long as Zarini's alive, as long as you've got Ricotta creating the space for him, they're perfectly capable of moving forward and keeping this in overtime.
And this is where Envy feel comfortable. They're able to grab a couple of kills. Rubu and Rock Monkey playing that angle very effectively. And that's what you need from this composition. When you're that far back on defense, that's when that Leon needs to be so effective. And Splitstone Quarry in general, that high ground over the point, that high ground kind of in the back by your team's base, that's where you really need a guy like Rock Monkey to find his value.
A lot of these trades specifically for Rock Monkey are going to depend on where he's getting aggressive, where Ricotta's getting aggressive. Are they both going to be fighting each other from the high ground? Are they fighting onto the point tanks from the high ground?
Right.
Is one going into bleachers with the other? These kind of decisions will impact where is Rock Monkey going to be aggressive and where is he going to be able to flourish. Leon, she works better from the high ground, uncontested, but you're going to have to deal with the fact that your Makoa, especially if he Ancient Rages, is going to get melted by Ricotta. And then he's going to be in a good position, either from just below you or even from across the way to find those trade shots. You have the hit scan advantage, but that's about all you've got going.
Right, it's very easy to say, yeah, if the Leon sits back, you're free and clear to win the game.
You're safe, right?
That's not always quite so easy to do. And I kind of want to shine a light on SimSaloo as well. I mean, you look at that qualifier week, a hard week, kind of that flex blaster player for the Knights. Then that quarterfinal game up against Natus Vincere, technically the number 8 seed in the Knights, defeating the number 1 seed in Natus Vincere. That was a kind of big game, I think, for SimSaloo to get back into that LAN environment, quarterfinal knockout stage. And they'll need some more of that today.
You know, one of the things we had talked about, especially during qualifiers, was Renegades, and I'm bringing them up for a good reason, so we'll circle back to it. But they had won, 4 sets in the regular season throughout the 28 weeks of play.
4 sets.
A lot of time. 4 sets total. And then they start winning some during qualifiers. They beat, though, the only PPL team that they could have, which was the Knights.
Yeah.
And that was probably the roughest look that we've seen from the Knights all year.
I agree.
Now they're coming in. It was a very, very solid performance against Na'Vi. A ridiculous turnaround when they had 2 days to do so. But now they've had a week to prepare specifically for Envy. And it looks like it's been doing well for them. But that's the question of what SimSaloo are we getting? Are we getting the SimSaloo that beat Na'Vi a week ago? Or are we getting the SimSaloo that lost to the Renegades just 2 days before that?
Well, that's the question coming into this event. I think all of us, myself included, were thinking if that carries over from qualifiers, Na'Vi waltzed their way to the semifinals of the Pittsburgh Knights. They showed up big, and they've done so far today with a chance to go up 2 here on Splitstone Quarry. Back into game, 10 seconds left. They have to move forward and get a touchdown onto that payload. Random Noob making use of that mobility. Mr. Hayes finds the shot onto Zerini. That's the front line now. That's gone from the Knights. Cuscuti with the only saving grace for the Pittsburgh Knights. And it looks like Team Envy may be able to hold, but don't count them out just yet. SimC finds a kill, and the payload's still in overtime.
I mean, they keep G-Bunny alive. He uses the second chance to get here, but with Cus healing, with his ability to kind of reset his own health, he's still at the nice 4,400 cap for him. And you're looking at very good crowd control, keeps Makoa in check, keeps this Eevee in check, and with this giant stasis field, the shots from Envy are going to have difficulty finding their target.
Well, this
Only
is
up
it.
to 5 seconds.
This is it. This is your last fight. Either we're tied or the Knights go up 2. Depending on how far out one team is able to stagger the other. G-Bunny finds a little bit of a flank. Zerini and Ricotta both very low here, having to play carefully. Neither team using too much, but the Dome Shield from Envy, the first to use. Random Noob opens up the killing in this final engagement. And that might be what Envy need, but Cuscuti with the immediate trade back. It's a 1-for-1. Respawn's a little bit closer for Envy, but they're fighting at a 4v5 for the next 5 or so seconds. As Rubu into that shell shield, back behind the wall, dashing forward, great hook, pulls in Ricotta. Rubu finds the hook at the important moment and keeps Envy in a great spot now on this defense.
Trying to do anything they can to hold on, but without Ricotta holding the angles that he could, it's a lot more difficult for these front lines, especially with the amount of CC onto Zerini.
And that the timing could not have been more perfect onto that hook for Rubu. Ricotta was so low anyway, but just confirming that kill, you saw so often the Knights' health bars melting down, but they couldn't find those angles on Envy. And finally, you get that one hook, that one bit of CC that pulls things back in your favor, and we got a tie game.
And it was, whether you want to look at it, a great play from Rubu, which I think he was in the perfect position to capitalize on, or a misstep from Ricotta trying to find a new angle. He had been holding one specifically that had just been pelting into Tolki, into Rubu, into anybody who had happened to take kind of the left side, I guess, of Envy's stage out of base. Caused a lot of trouble for them there. It didn't cause enough trouble. The minute he moves from that kind of safe spot, he finds himself in, well, a hook zone.
That's right.
You don't want to be there. That does clip somebody, so it's going to put, looks like...
Zerini got chunked down a little bit. Not enough damage to melt through that big health bar. How aggressive Rubu is getting into the Midnight. Now Simsi looking for the angle. That Inflame Midnight combination so dangerous to try to fight up against. Simsi finds an angle, finds a couple daggers. First blood over to G-Bunny. Now Team Envy backing off, looking just for some health trades here, but right back onto the point go the Knights.
We have Ancient Rage. Soon enough, you're going to have some Exiles available, but those aren't game-changing enough for the Knights. More of a last-minute save, but since they're up 66-9, they're not going to have too many worries as far as ultimate economy goes. Dome Shield's going to be coming up. There's a lot for Envy to get back in here, so don't count them out just yet, but they need to do something on the point.
And that's the Ice Storm, gets him right back in, but can you push that advantage? You're missing the Atlas. Rock Monkey finds 2. That's 3 down now for the Pittsburgh Knights. Team Envy, they're looking like they want to retake here with Zerini being the last to go down. Finally, Team Envy are going to get back onto that point, get themselves some uncontested percentage, but still plenty of time and some exiles for the Knights.
But you're in a scary position, 99%. You can't afford to leave the objective right now, or you could have someone like Simslu on the Mave to slip in, steal it away from you. So all focus is right there. You have to worry very carefully where your tanks are going to go, how you're going to use these 2 ultimates. That Dome Shield, more important than anything. But here comes the Ancient Rage.
Rubu swinging away, down in the back line. Shell target forward, last swing connects onto Rakata. Now you're missing your Cassie and you're missing your front line. Team Envy, they've retaken, they've zoned out, and now they just need to stagger out a few more to grab themselves their 2nd point. That's a good setback from G-Bunny to stay in this fight, and Simsy trades out with Random Noob as well. That Mave-Eevee combination has been fun to watch. This time it goes the way of Simsy. Rakata, he's back in. He dodge rolls out, but Rubu, he's getting the kills. Rock Monkey as well. Overtime evaporates, but who's going to end out on top? That's a big enlightenment from Rock Monkey. Rubu with the most recent, and Team Envy, they grab point number 2.
If Rakata had been able to get that overtime without taking half his health bar, that could have been a different fight, but he was not able to get in, get out fast enough. Saved it for Zerini to be able to run through. But Envy knew exactly where the shots needed to go, who the focus needed to be on. Almost clipping another shot there for Mr. Hayes as well. Getting this off to a good start. And at this point, you've got 2 minutes. Use them if you got them. If you have an ult available,
that's right,
you can drop it and not feel too bad about it, as you will recharge it usually by the end of the round. Some of the slower charging ults might have some struggles, but for the most part, Envy are going to be in a good position to get as aggressive as they would like. The Knights, though, have to rethink pretty much every process they've come into this with. Because again, this is kind of Makoa's territory. You're getting into hook zone, and that's going to make Rubu a lot more of a factor than he's in this game.
Not only does it pull you in, sometimes pulls you down. That high ground that you thought you had suddenly is missing. Look out for this guy, though, Simsy. I think he's been all over Random Noob today. I think Random Noob is, been very involved in these games. He's at 4, 5, and 5, but you look at 10, 7, and 6 from Simsy. That's what you've been looking for out of this Mave.
I mean, that's what I'm looking for out of Mave, but Rakata's 3 and 7. It kind of counters out what the Mave has been able to accomplish. You get 3 kills in the positive, 3 kills now in the negative as he finds Random Noob there. And at the end of the day, it's not going to equal everything. It does determine when those kills come through. That's what matters the most.
Agreed.
I feel like Rakata has been in these positions a lot this game where his damage has been consistent. He's been at a good angle. We didn't really get that during the last mid-fight, and that's where things started to fall apart for the Knights. I think, especially when he had to rush in on his own just to get that overtime.
Yep.
You can see the scramble in his mind, and when you're trying to make calls and play a DPS and you're trying to scramble for the objective, you just don't have the wherewithal to hit your shots, get kills, and stay alive.
Just in case all of this is kind of confusing, Pittsburgh Knights have pushed all the way into Envy's base, who are trying to break back to their payload right now. You always have to think about it. I don't see a world where there's a backdoor right now, but Envy, they've kind of been known throughout this split of finding some of those sneaky, I'm going to sneak around to everyone on the enemy team, drop onto that payload, get things moving for my team. They're going to get it done the old-fashioned way this time, a good kind of skirmish there, but you got almost the full distance to go in overtime.
Random Noob on Eevee might be one of the scariest things. If the payload is anywhere near conversion and you have 5 seconds left, that's like you're hunting for an Eevee. The best news for them, and normally I only get to say this with a Bomb King, but 1,800 health for an Eevee, that's 2 shots from an Atlas fully charged. Going to take him a little time to get to that point, but it's an easy kill if he can find it. And with G-Bunny kind of focusing down the targets the way he has, it doesn't give anyone on Envy a lot of wiggle room to make any mistakes.
Well, this Knights defense is pretty much in their favor since the beginning, and now Team Envy have one member left, and that is Tolkien. Once he goes down, he is delaying some time, but that overtime timer was just too quick. So a clear, concise, not really a firework of a defense there from the Knights. Skirmishy, they're fighting. The question on this map sometimes is how far forward do you want to extend on that defense? They get the zone all the way on Envy's side.
And you get that aggressive, you can die, respawn, be back in time for another defense. That's kind of the goal of it, especially with how little Envy had been able to get on the bush. It's pretty much perfect for where you need to go, and that was the kill from Rock Monkey that kind of started, I would say, the downfall. If Rakata stays alive there, things start to shift around, maybe become a little bit more troublesome, and then a beautiful turnaround for the Enlightenment. I think just to kind of cherry on top more than anything. It just looks good. Gets him in the zone. 50% refunded to Leon on her ult if she gets a kill with it. So no harm, no foul for him. As everyone's coming into this one with their ults available. I expect to see Mr. Haves kind of fish for a shot here. Could find just a full-on elimination if he finds the right target.
More patient this time. Sometimes you see that snipe ultimate at the beginning of the round. Oh, Toki, he uses the dome shield. It's back off of cooldown and he immediately dies. That's down to 0% once he respawns, and the Knights, they choose to leap now. They found 2 kills, looking for a little bit more. They're back on that point, garnering percentage as time goes on here. And more recently, it's Simsy who's finding the kill.
All you need is one more shot. Leon solo gets around the corner, though. At the end of the day, you're zoning them out. They're pretty far away. You have, looks like Random Noob in the background trying to do whatever he can. He's looking for overtime touches at this point. It's 78-3. Knights very much in control like they were during the beginning of this game.
Yeah, this looks like a beautiful mid-fight now for the Knights. The wall goes up, body blocks, just enough. What a play from Zerini. But the important thing now for Envy is you get these kills on the back end, hooked just a little bit wide. But if you're able to do what the Knights did to you in the previous round, get them all the way back on their side of the map, this push becomes so much more difficult.
It's really as long as you can keep Rubu up here. If you can keep Tolki up here, I think they have a much higher chance, not only at dismounts, but just keeping everyone under control. A good seismic crash. And Zarini's looking for the kill. They got rid of one problem. They're looking for the other one. That's been causing trouble for this entire set. Random Noob is kind of like sparking in and out, right? He has these great moments where his name comes up and it's a crucial kill. And then he kind of disappears for a little while.
Nice, Simsy. That's 3 now for the Mave. Just gonna get this payload moving. You bring up Random Noob. His slash line wasn't great, but he was top damage in this game coming into this round. So, you know, it's kind of give and take with that Eevee. You want a lot of kill confirm coming in, but you're out damaging Rock Monkey on a Leon. At least in some regard, you're doing your job.
Keeping things going for your team, keeping them alive. That's kind of what Eevee does. If she can't get all of the kills in the world, then she's just the one who's going to be your overtime touch. She's going to be looking for the damage. And this Midnight on the other side for the flank is kind of the get me back. Well, unfortunately, you lose 2 members in that fight. I mean, when you have Midnight up, that's your way back in. I mean, the only thing that could maybe beat that is an In-Flame from Viria. They have up available for Knights. With a minute left, and you're standing on shaky ground as to what you want to commit at this point.
Simsy was unstoppable just a few moments ago. Finally able to get that Mave dealt with now with your Team Envy. Setting up defense, trying to slow things down, but the Pittsburgh Knights, they hit the gas pedal. The Inflame pushes that team forward, and they're able to find the first kill onto Rubu. Immediately pushed back, but they're still staggering out kills. Pittsburgh Knights, it's all blue in the kill feed, and this payload, it's getting close.
And that bonus damage on those daggers. Every time Simslu comes back into this, a hit onto Eevee, a hit onto Leon, it's good enough to put them out of the fight, especially if he can follow it up. He gets 2 pairs to throw out. That's going to be 1040 damage total that he throws through.
And Envy, they're in a bad spot. They might have to use everything just to defend here, in which case the Knights would have the ultimate advantage in the next mid-fight if there is one. Those are the Exiles. You lock down the Leon, but what does it buy you? A little bit of time for Ricotta to find the angle. Rock Monkey still in the back. This is where you want to position yourself. Finds the rotation onto Zerini. 3 seconds left. No more point tank for the Pittsburgh Knights. Ricotta a little bit caught out. Is able to dodge roll right back around the side. G-Bunny still alive down on that point. Rock Monkey finds the shots, but the Pittsburgh Knights, they're able to push it in. The kills were there for Envy, but the positioning was not, and this set is tied.
I don't think there can be anything more heartbreaking than seeing this Random Noob fly across the screen a second too late. It's just right after they needed that touch. I think they were counting on it, calling for it, but unfortunately they weren't there in time, weren't able to get that, keep it in overtime. And that's one of those moments that starts to shake up your mentality going forward with it. I mean, we've seen some backdoors, those will break teams. But something like that where it's just a slip either in comms, a slip in positioning, somebody wasn't where they needed to be. Envy are going to have to be able to bounce back from that one.
Well, it's easy to kind of get caught off guard in those moments. It looked like Envy is finding the trades that are important. You get rid of Zerini right off the bat, no more point tank, but the trades just a little bit more effective now from the Knights. As if this set couldn't get any closer, we're now down to a best of 3 for these final games. First team to 4, they move on to the finals. Let's see who breaks this tie right after this.
our team had one mission: create a free-to-play multiplayer shooter. Rogue Company blends the exciting nature of an action shooter with tactical decision-making.
Rogue Company is all about objective-based gameplay, with ongoing content that's delivered on a regular basis and a game experience that is the same across all platforms.
First Watch Studios is a band of developers from Hi-Rez Studios and industry vets. Hi-Rez Studios has spent over a decade perfecting games as a service and competitive esports.
For the development team, a core shooter is one that focuses on the gunplay experience. It means that although there are abilities and lots of different ways to augment the gameplay, at the end of the day, your skill with shooting the weapons, with knowing the right weapons to use in the right situation, is still the dominant factor in whether you win an encounter or lose. What Gandhi brings to the table is he's not just a phenomenal designer. In fact, he's a world champion Halo player.
The tactical elements of Rogue Company start with the fact that it's round-based, one life. So every decision you make is meaningful. The action elements come from everything else. Whether it's shooting a grenade launcher, throwing a melee weapon, all of these elements create thrilling moments. Objective-based gameplay was a core pillar for Rogue Company because what we really wanted to emphasize was strategy, teamwork, and at the end of the day, meaningful decisions. The meta supports a bunch of different play styles, and it really comes down to what's the best fit for your team. We wanted to say, all metas can work, and the decision is on the player.
With Rogue Company, we're taking on the challenge of creating our own IP and our own property. And one of the things when we started the project that we wanted to make sure we did was find really strong world-class talent.
The world of Rogue Company is set roughly 9 years in the future. We have a motley crew of very fiercely individualistic people from all walks of life. It is its own entity, separate from any government, but many governmental organizations do turn to it for help. When Rogue Company takes on that contract, Rogue Company has vetted it and approved it as fulfilling the main goal of the group, which is to right the world's greatest wrongs.
Evelyn brings over 15 years of experience in narrative design and in building worlds, and we're very excited about having her to help build the Rogue Company universe.
The direction for our map creation process is that we want to really have a competitive game, so we want to keep our environments nice and clean. A lot of the maps that we've created are areas that the Rogue Company has just entered into. High Castle is this estate/villa that's on the side of a mountain cliff in Italy, and it's got all these beautiful trees and beautiful rocks. It's a really interesting environment that you probably haven't seen in other games. Panama Canals is a map that we worked on for a few months. We wanted to make sure that we put a spin on your typical canal. And so the idea is that there's this war cruiser and this cargo ship that's exploded. And so players land into this scenery and have to fight the enemy combatants. Skyfell is an awesome map. Basically, it's a skyscraper in Dubai. It's brand new. It's super modern, super chic. It's where all the elite go to shop and party. And there's a nice, beautiful gallery.
So the art direction of Rogue Company is something that's not your typical military shooter. It finds itself really embedded in realism, but at the same time, there's a sense of flair to things. Dima is my favorite character. We came up with an idea where he was this guy that was boisterous, over the top, and would pretty much go to any lengths to get the job done for himself.
One for you, one for you, one for you.
Rogue Company has all of the usual suspects of weapons and equipment: sniper rifles, shotguns, pistols. But in addition to that, our eclectic band of mercenaries allows us to make some weapons that are a bit more non-traditional.
After years of making Rogue Company, we are so excited to share our labor of love with the gaming community.
Rogue Company is coming to all platforms in 2020.
Welcome back, Paladins fans. A little look there under the hood at Rogue Company, the new hotness from Hi-Rez Studios and First Watch Games. A lot of you Paladins fans out there, obviously fans of left-click and heads shooting, make sure you check your inboxes if you signed up for the alpha, because the codes have gone out alongside the kickoff of this event. So you might have a new game to play here after the weekend. Of course, Paladins ramping up here in the semifinals. The Pittsburgh Knights have done it again, man. Tying things up against Team Envy. This is an incredible performance from them in Splitstone Quarry, and a big milestone in terms of this set because the bans have started to change. People are now starting to react to what is strong here today, and today it's been all about Io. She's taken off the board. It allows both Makoa and Atlas through. And I think both G-Bunny and Rubu stepped up to the plate on their power take. Look at them, just about tied in damage as well. The players up here on stage kind of breaking down their own stats. I think Cutie, G-Bunny, they played very well together. I mean, didn't almost bring that one back, but I mean, having incredible moments together, pairing the Furia with the Atlas.
Yeah, the bigger thing too, I think Simsalou had a 22-9 performance on the Mave, bouncing all over the map. A lot of space being made by that Atlas too. When you see
Say that again for us. What was that, KD?
22-9.
22-9. Simsalou on the Mave, crushing it here on Splitstone Core. I mean, using this kit, you have a lot of tools, a lot of mobility, a lot of hang time, a lot of damage reduction sustain. You have a lot to make use of, and when you do it right, you end up 22-9. I think Simsalou absolutely knocked it out of the park, but so did G-Bunny on this Atlas, and it's huge. When a pick like Atlas makes it through and you don't show up, that is a big problem.
That's just a lost game. At that point, honestly, Atlas is a very complicated front line. You have to know how he works, where your second chance is going to put you, where your setback is going to put them. You have to have so many things in mind all the time that you really have to perform to make the pick worth it.
Now I want to talk a little bit about Rakata's Cassie. Ultimately does a decent amount of damage. KD's still struggling. Is this because he is playing poorly, or is he just the easiest target for Envy to dive between this Makoa and this Eevee?
It's easy to dive him for sure. You can ice storm him if he doesn't see you coming. I think that's one of the bigger things. Without Impulse, the increased damage on the blast shot, you're not as good at dueling this Eevee. Definitely a lot easier to apply that pressure. So Rakata, I think, had a decent job of countering Makoa, but beyond that, it really was kind of the Simsalou show.
Bright Marsh, the next map up on the docket here. As you can see, it's been all black and blue back and forth here through the first 4 maps. We are all tied up 2 apiece. The Knights take Splitstone Quarry, which means it's Envy that pick Bright Marsh. We're heading into the draft now. 2 teams with 2 bans apiece. Does anything else change here? We saw the Io starting to get banned now. I think that says it all right there.
I would too. Honestly, Envy, I would
frustrating, man. He's a tough guy. You said specifically going into this match, Kresnik, that Simsalou would be a thorn in Envy's side.
Because Envy struggles against Blasters, flex DPSs, when they're on their money, when they're performing super well. And after a performance like that, Envy have to find a way to stop it, because it's their Achilles heel. They've never been able to push past it. And both power tanks are still banned, but with Barrack first picked, this is a Strix on Bright Marsh potentially open for the Knights.
Strix on Bright Marsh. You heard it here first, folks. He is open, he is available. Let's talk a little bit about the Blasters, because it hasn't been so, it's almost turned into Blaster Flex, right? Because there's not a lot of Blasters in this meta. Drogos, Bomb King. You might see him a little bit this tournament, but I don't know if teams are really chomping at the bit to get those characters. Willow's banned away. You've got Eevee still in the pool. You've got potentially a Drogos. Is that something Random Noob looks to bring out?
It's possible, but for me, Drogos is a later pick. You have to pick it at the end when you know that there's not really a hard counter. This is a map. You can make it work. We've seen Fishiko use Fusillade on this map, get those direct shots to do a lot of damage, usually to counter tanks most of the time, but definitely a draft-dependent pick, but something that I think is almost draft-independent if it gets locked in, and it does. Is this Strix? Such a dominant character right now in this DPS slot.
Khan picked away as well. I'm looking at Ruckus. I'm thinking about Io now. Something to counter this Strix out. How do they dive the backline? How do they keep Rakata ineffective?
Eevee seems to be potentially the answer for Envy, but honestly, flankers struggle into Strix so much. He has 2,400 damage in the pocket if you hit that quick scope. Rakata.
Homie can miss his sniper shot, pull out the flare, and
hit you.
Just fine.
That's another 1,200 on the money, and then you can switch back to the rifle right away. It's a lot of damage you have to deal with. Random's gonna have to be very cautious about his ice block usage. It's a micro thing, but if he ice blocks one of the sources of damage, he might have a chance to win the 1v1.
I think the conversation around G-Bunny and Atlas and those power tanks now falls onto Rakata. Strix is the power pick here. If you don't show up, if you don't have an impactful performance, now we've got a real problem. He was playing those Cassies. He wasn't necessarily the hard and fast win condition. I think he needs to be now. I think it's time for the Rakata show to commence.
We'll have to see, and they're not going to have to worry too much about the point. Io and Inara, that is monstrous point presence on a map that's pretty heavily focused on it. And Cassie, not really having a hard blaster, a focused blaster character, might end up biting Envy in the end. They don't really have a way to kind of spread damage across the board. They have the burst damage with the big game to potentially go through that Io damage reduction. They only have the Genos. The sustain is so in Knights' favor.
What's the game plan here for Envy? They lock in the Genos, they have this EV. It seems like they have ways to dive. We brought up random noobs Drogos, but it is in fact hovered for the Knights. So this would be, once he's locked in, a nigh impossible backline to dive just because you're looking at combustible, you're looking at unauthorized use. I mean, how do you get in there if you're Team Envy?
I think you have to hope your tanks get in all the way. You have to let your tanks use their ultimates to buy space and just use that space, get some cap time, force them to make a desperate decision, I guess. But
there is a conversation happening right now around this last pick for the Knights here. Simsalou having a lot of words for his teammates. It looks like it will be hovered. Will it be locked? The Pip, not a huge part of the Knights. I would say 10 are probably most notable Pip player here, but it's time. Simsalou's Pip has been locked in the final selection for Brightmarsh. How do you like it?
It's interesting. We don't see Pip as much since that Moxie nerf. Definitely changed his priorities in the draft, but he's
the priority Evo Mojo target here?
Any of the tanks, always. You want to get rid of as much of the health in the game as possible.
It feels like to me, Rubu winds up that shoulder bash, goes in to try and assert dominance, and that's it. That's the moment. You diffuse that moment, and then I'm grasping for straws. I don't know what Envy do after that point.
They have to have a phenomenal performance, I think, to overcome the draft from the Knights. But this is not really in the Knights' wheelhouse. The Knights want to be aggressive. This isn't a Inara Khan, Pip Io, sustainy, hold my ground draft. If the Knights play it to that, I think they have a much superior comp for this map.
Stylistic switch up for the Knights here. Somebody needs to break this back and forth curse. Let's get it down to your casters.
Down to Brightmarsh we go, and one more tiebreaker we got here, Gore, in this game 5. And potential, I think, is what's on the board now for the Knights. Between a Strix and a Pip, the potential is there, but can you capitalize?
I mean, they've got pretty much everything that they would want in this kind of scenario, right? You get a Strix, you get Ricotta piloting that, and it's going to fall pretty much right into your lap. Simsalou, though, very, very solid Pip play.
Yes.
It's one of the things, if you want to roll it back, MSI, you're looking at Penta. Part of the reason they were not only able to make it to MSI, but win MSI, I think, revolves around this Pip. It's been a while since we've seen him play it. A lot more Maeve and Eevee, even some Drogos that we've seen him play this last phase of the BBL. But this time around, he's kind of bringing back a classic.
Early control. How about this right-hand side? And Brightmarsh especially, not often you see a Strix on this map, but we started to see it a little bit more, and Ricotta is definitely one that I wouldn't question his long-range damage on a limited sightline map in some spots like Brightmarsh. Early control still in the Knights' favor. No kills just yet. Looking for the first one. Simpsy just plugging some damage through that doorway. The tug of war continues down on the point with Envy now moving themselves in. Look at the health bar of Rock Monkey. Top left stays alive, but first blood nonetheless comes out for Simpsy. On to that Cassie. Mr. Hayes falls as well, and the Pittsburgh Knights already have 75%.
And this is exactly the reason Pip is so good on this map. Just the way he can traverse it, using weightless, finding the right kind of jump. If you're up against a wall, you get a little bit of extra height, and Simsalou uses it perfectly. Gets not only good angles on the point, but gets a good flank in onto the carries for Envy as well, just to shut them down.
And that is 0-1-0 for all 5 members of Team Envy 2 minutes into this game. Strix has been confirming the damage. I mean, he hangs at 0-0-2, but he's top damage in the game. Flashbang drops down. That's Rubu looking to get aggressive on this left-hand side, but suddenly there's a Pip in your face, and he's trying to peel off for his backline and finding some damage in the meantime. Payload finally contested out, but a 1-for-1 trade.
Doing whatever he can to try and get that trade. One more shot could have done it. Rock Monkey's the one who finds it first. Gets rid of Simsalou, which is going to be some of the pressure. But much like the end of the last map, the payload was still moving even while Envy were finding kills. So this time the Knights dig their heels in, stay where they are around mid-portion of the map, move up, keep this payload about 50% of the way there.
G-Bunny, another kill under his belt here, now on a 9 streak. Mr. Hayes caught out a little bit from the rest of his team. A great chance for a .2 on the board for PK. Envy are going to have 5 ultimates rounding this final corner, and they have so much time they have to defend for here. Evil Mojo thrown out, predicts the shoulder bash. That one connects onto Rubu. Is there any follow-up? The assert dominance drops down. Mr. Hayes gets sniped out, does connect on a little bit of damage, but it's 1 kill on the board now for the Pittsburgh Knights, and that's a nice storm right into the dome shield as Team Envy looking to sustain anything they can on this left-hand side.
2 shots in a row from Rakata being able to be headshots. That's a lot of damage coming down from him. He is having a huge impact.
Another flashbang.
Flashbang looking for the kill, but he finally gets taken down by Rubu. But it's still Zarini, Cuss, alive and kicking.
Yeah, if you want anyone, it's your point tank and your healer still contesting. That's a good stun onto Rubu. No capitalization just yet, but now Simpsy is back, rejoin this fight. The fireworks continue, no low here in this potential final fight of this round. 30 seconds left. Simpsy, low health bar on Rubu, goes down to 0 as the pip flies in and finds the shots, but Rock Monkey in a great position to maybe pour out some damage from that high ground. Payload very, very close. 15 seconds left. A couple of kills now for the Knights, and that's all they need. Payload goes in, and scoreboard goes to 2.
It's kind of like they were just holding floodgates open there for a second, where they're like, all right, let him get into position. All right, now go. And they just get rid of 3 pretty much with ease. They have a little bit of fight back from Rock Monkey at range, but with the Strix on their side, I think a 60+% win rate that we've seen throughout phase 2. Looking pretty good for them, and I can't think of anyone better to do it than Rakata, specifically because of what he has been able to bring to it. I mean, you get Simsy on a really good flank, you get Rakata sitting in the back, again, like you said, a map that's not usually a sniper map unless you're Stigma from a minor league team in Franklin. It's not something that comes too often. It's 2 close quarters, but Rakata can make it work. You find the right angles, there's just a few of them, and that scope can find perfect shots.
A little nimble for a couple members of the Knights as well. Some master riding, yellow items for 4 members of PK. This is the time where Envy are gonna have to capitalize on that 4% comeback mechanic. Overpower, good onto Rock Monkey. Simsaloo capitalizes on that silver platter kill set up by his front line, and now he's looking for the flank. He's only at 87%, but he's gonna have the Evil Mojo, and they're already at 57% and climbing.
And both times, Rock Monkey, first target, first one eliminated. Without the Cassie, they don't have anywhere near as much to fight back against the pit to get to the background. That's gonna be a really wide miss for the Evil Mojo, but it doesn't matter. It seems like everybody else is on point for the Knights.
And one more time, Rock Monkey rolls in, and Rakata's able to find the angle. It's the damage dealers for the Knights who are finding the kills. A double kill from this pip may have just sealed up point number 3. Rakata puts the icing on the cake, and Pittsburgh Knights, in potentially the fastest game of this set, have a chance to win.
And they're setting themselves up. Not only is it a tiebreaker, this is a crucial tiebreaker. When you're 2-2, you get up to that 3-2 lead. You are 1 map from winning the entire set. And if you can do it in a landslide, you find a 4-0 on that map, it's harder to bounce back.
You gotta dig deep.
So it's gonna be a lot more, I think, from Envy to kind of keep themselves, I guess, calm under pressure more than anything. The way this is going, that payload 60% of the way. It's still got 2 minutes left. It's taking them 40 seconds to get here now. The Knights are on a streak. You can see it burning across all 5 of their players. And their ults are coming back up. Soon enough, Flashbang, Evil Mojo, Overpower, all going to be available.
Yeah, Team Envy have used so much to defend here, but weren't really able to buy much, but a little bit of time for themselves. The Pittsburgh Knights, they're starting to move forward. That's a triple kill for your Pip. If you're able to zone out one last time, you have a chance of making this one a 4-0. Overpower onto Rubu. That one's good. Simpsy, another kill for him. Flashbang up to the high ground. Does not connect. You have 1 minute and 20 seconds left if you're Team Envy. Into the ice block. Evil Mojo flies. No kills there. Simpsy still dancing around this payload. Envy throwing bodies down to the pile. No kills for either team just yet. Fail safe through from Toki here. Finally, Zarini finds the opening kill onto the frontliner for Team Envy. And they're looking just to sustain a little bit longer. Rubu shoulder bash through. The squishies are down onto the point. Are they able to sustain? It looks like no. Pittsburgh Knights 1 away from the finals.
They break the tie and they take the lead with that one. 3-2 in their favor. A beautiful 4-0 on Bright Marsh to be able to come and just sweep that one away from Envy. I think a lot of it does come down Strix, but you can look past that. Rakata's going to be good if you put him on a Leon there. He's going to be good. He's got all the space in the world, and it's being created by one guy and one guy alone. That's Simsaloo, who is doing pretty much everything there. Good flanks early on, gets kills onto Rock Monkey. Good overpower second round, gets a kill on the Rock Monkey. You get rid of the Cassie, made it a lot easier for that Pip to get that flank. And Resilience was paying its weight in gold for Tolki and Rubu, trying to keep him out of that Evil Mojo, but they didn't have the burst.
And now is the gut check for Envy. You have to win 2 straight. We got 2 Dulcins up here on the cast for you. You have to go 2 straight in order to find yourselves in a position to defend your world championship tomorrow. Pittsburgh Knights, the Cinderella story of these Paladins World Championship qualifying round, placement round, and now here in the semifinals, 1 map away from the World Championship game tomorrow. See if they can finish it out.
You've come seeking a vision. The threads of fate hold the answers for those worthy. One thread, a defender of Asgard, with eyes on the horizon over the Bifrost. Heimdall. Another strand to the east, a land of warriors as plentiful as trees, with one rising above all. Deeper still into the woods, there resides a home that is a sanctuary for none but Baba Yaga. Darker still, the infinite abyss rushes like waves, and yet more comforting than what lies beneath. However, even the darkest night gives way to the light of the moon. But that's a tale for another time. The threads of fate bind us all. What will they hold for you?
The Knights break the rhythm of this set and leave the boys in blue a little black and blue after Brightmarsh. They blow it wide open, 4-0, the quickest game of this set by a mile. What has been very close is now looking like the Knights game, and they have Envy against the ropes. A single map separates the Knights and Cuss Cutie from his first ever World Championship final. What a day, what a sentence. I'm happy to be able to kind of say that. This is a guy that has been doing it since the Founders Tournament, boys. That's 3 years ago. And here he stands, 1 map separating him from the biggest set of his life.
Yeah, and a great performance by the Knights overall. What a dominant win, and I think just out of the draft. Simsaloo must have been living in their head rent-free because of that Mave band, and it's
13-3, bro. I mean, come on, man. 44,000 damage, a sizable amount of healing, the pressure, the movement. That's what Hip brings. You know, we say he's a jack of all trades, but Kresnik, in the early game, when there's no item counterplay to slow him down, this character looks nigh unstoppable.
Yeah, for sure. And the aggression that Simsaloo had, too, just weightlessing in. I thought the comp was going to be slow, but Simsaloo kind of changed my mind about that.
I know.
IO speed boosting, Inara and Khan going straight in. Bunny only dying once. I think undying after the first round through that set. Great performance by him as well. The IO, I think, was a huge deal, too, because whenever Envy thought they had a leg to stand on, whenever they thought they found that aggressive opening, they just pocketed whoever was getting dove. That person just was unkillable.
Now, I've brought up Ricotta a lot this set because I have high expectations for him. Now, the question I asked after Splitstone Quarry, was he just the easiest target to dive? With the amount of pressure the Pittsburgh Knights put on Envy in controlling that game and nobody really got to the backline, I think we kind of got our answer because Ricotta was crushing it on the Strix.
Yeah, and that just shows the impact of Strix even on these close-range maps. He's just good everywhere. Unlike Kinessa, he doesn't have to charge up. He can survey the environment and then scope in to follow up the shot. You can line up your scope before you even press right-click. You can have it centered and go in. That's what these players do.
We talked about Timbermill. We talked about why both snipers had to be banned out. Brightmarsh is the antithesis of that type of map. This is a map that you would never imagine a sniper would have that much strength on, and I love it. Ice Mines is where Envy elect to go to potentially keep themselves alive here. This is a map that has had a very polarizing reputation throughout its lifetime in Paladins. It has evolved this year, Kresnik.
Yes.
Though. I have really honestly started to love to see this map and see what teams have been able to put together on it.
Yeah, and it's an interesting choice, I think, a good choice after Brightmarsh, because Brightmarsh very snowballing. Brightmarsh can immediately go one way. It was a risky pick after a loss. It didn't pay off for now, but with the set potentially in the hands of the Knights, going into a map that can slow it down, Ice Mines. This is probably going to be a 4-3 realistically. And Knights, Envy clearly did their homework. A Terminus ban coming from the Knights, just getting rid of that from Zarini. We know he's pretty much the last specialist left, so good to get out of his pool.
He has the Kresnik seal of approval. The Knights lead Team Envy 3 maps to 2 in this best of 7. Ice Mine stands between them and the Paladins World Finals. Strix banned away, Makoa sat out, Atlas as well. Terminus will be the fourth, Atlas will be the fourth and final ban. Terminus joining them. And Khan first picked here for the Knights. How do you feel about it? A lot of tank bans.
Surprising for me, actually. I know a lot of tanks are banned, but Willow is open, and this is Ice Mines. There's a lot of choke points. She has so much control. I think they're going to snap it up on Envy's side. I don't see a reason not to get it with the amount of pressure that it'll allow Random to have and how hard to dive he'll be. Can't really be focused too effectively, and yes, they do lock it in, letting him have that control over the map, and now they can worry about the rest of the draft. Con-Ash matchup might be tough, but I think the Willow puts them in a better position right now.
Getting the Barrack as well. The Knights prioritizing their front line very heavily. Random Dude got the Willow in game number 1. I think did good on it, right? Wasn't a lot of kills, but absolute copious amounts of damage.
Yeah.
Is he looking to have a similar type of performance here, or does he need to finish these frags?
I think the damage is all that really matters, depending on what other, I think, DPS Envy end up with. And Cassie can be one that can finish those kills if they
maybe even Ruby, right? Hand it off to him.
And I think the lock-in, by the way, from Genos, we saw Io having a lot of dominance, but there's a little quirk to Ice Mines where as you're mounting up to go to the point, there's a small opening, you can see the enemy team. Teams tend to prefer hit scan, or direct damage, I guess, supports, so you can knock the enemy team off of their mount and get a massive positional advantage on that mid-fight.
I think it's a great point to bring up, and this is me submitting my formal request to watch this Genos. Let us watch Cuscutie on the ride up to the first objective. It is a good example of something that may seem extremely small. It may seem minuscule, but in this high-level scene, that small little dismount, that small change, a little bit more map control can be huge for the outcome of the point fight.
Because of that, I actually really hope Envy doesn't lock in Domba here, because that means they don't. Ying would be the pick. Ying is the other support, the antithesis to the Genos on this map that has raw healing, but also has that dismount potential. If Envy don't pick this up, that means, actually, they have nobody that could get those dismounts.
Not really, yeah.
It's not hit scan.
Not reliably.
So Knights will guarantee better point pressure at the start of the round.
Shot through the portcullis and dismounting everybody, right?
Yeah.
Conversation being had as Envy take their time with that final selection, but ultimately it does land on the Maldamba. Minimal dismount potential through that portcullis. The win has to come from somewhere else on Envy's side. They get their Willow, so perhaps that map control, perhaps that early point presence not too critical for them?
It's going to be hard for the Willow to get it. She's going to have to use something to get in, some ultimate to break through and make that happen. But other than assert dominance, in late game, resilience is going to really, really nullify the impact that Envy's ultimates have. I think the Knights ended up with another amazing draft. Eevee questionable, but Victor's fantastic on Ice Mines as well.
Victor is fantastic. Kind of slots in nicely where a Strix is banned out. I think Rukata in a rhythm, really crushing it home on the Strix. He's in a good spot here. This is potentially it for Team Envy. This is the defending world championship against the 8th seed right now, with their life on the line here. Potential, a big story here for Cuscutie, cracking his first ever World Championship Finals. I am so excited to get into this one. Ice Mines, such an incredible map to potentially wind it down. It's my honor to throw it over to Dolson and Gormizer.
All right, if you're an Envy fan or if you're a Knights fan, your team needs you right now. One game away from the final are the Knights. And Envy, they need to win a couple straight to stay alive here this weekend. And what a way to maybe round things out than Ice Mines. Team Envy, they stick with tried and true. They go the Damba. Cassie, big for their side. Get a little edge maybe in that Willow. Then you talk about the dismounts, the Victor. This one's going to be close.
This is one of those conversations specifically about the map as well that Kresnik and I have had a few times, kind of discussing whose map is who does well.
I don't know.
Most of the time, the Knights I've seen be the most consistent on here, outside of Virtus Pro. For Envy to go here, everyone's got one, but it does seem like a dangerous game to be playing. Of course, like you said, the Victor, I think, going to be something that shines bright. A lot of good angles like this, good grenades up onto the other high ground through window, and then good angles onto the tanks. It's just a lot of damage to deal with it. You don't have anyone really dedicated to get back to stop him.
Team Envy, of course, over in the red for this game. 33% in climbing for them. No room for mistakes. Every point important here for both teams. But the Knights have a little bit more padding. Envy looking just to poke out. No kills just yet. Long first blood, but G-Bunny finds it, and that's Rubu who goes down. The barrage is up from Rakata. Doesn't find much. Grenade just for a little bit of zoning. But one kill on Ice Mines means a whole lot more.
It just creates such a large zone. The hardest thing about this mid-fight is getting back to it. Once you lose just a little bit of your grip, you pretty much fall flat on it. They do have Random Noob, though. Get back to the high ground. Willow, great at controlling and corralling around an objective. Dead zone, that's 100% anti-heal whenever you see that on the objective. And when you have a Willow, it just makes it so hard for the tank.
Through time and space just to the left, and that's 90% now on the point for Team Envy. The kills are on their side. The zone is in, and the point is up. Envy, they strike first.
Holding on to whatever they can while they have it. A good Faith Light from Random Noob starts that one off. Once he gets kind of into the zone, gets back there, like you said, a little bit to the left with the through time and space. No one else able to get aggressive because of the kind of front lines he has just bodyguarding him. It makes it a lot easier when you're the blaster to make the plays that you need to. Opens up the space, pushes back the Knights, and there's only 2 doorways you need to watch. If you have one of them full covered, then the other one should be easy enough to watch over.
If this is your first time watching Ice Mines, this is typically where this payload kind of slows down. Lots of choke points, an easier area. I say easier because it's not easy, but an easier area to defend. Requires a lot to break through. Rubu, way to counter out that Ice Storm with an assert dominance, and they turn it around, grab the kill onto G-Bunny. And this is where you need to start to get things rolling if you're Envy. You have so many areas where you need to fight. The Knights are able to grab a couple kills. A big old flank around the backside from Rakata. Mr. Hayes waits the bullets, and Rakata hits him. A double kill from the Victor, and suddenly the Knights right back in control.
And just being able to maintain this defense where it is. It's a downhill battle. When you're Envy, you're pushing downhill, but it is an uphill battle in terms of how difficult it is to break a lot of this base. Ice Mines, for a long time, was kind of the great equalizer. You were almost guaranteed a 3-3 if you came to this map. Some of these teams, specifically the 2 you're watching on stage right now, were able to figure this one out, have been able to find 4 O's on this map. Once you know how to do that, you also know how to defend pretty well against it, and that's where we're seeing the Knights come in. Rock Monkey, though, 2 good kills. They're a wipe on the Knights. That's going to get them back to the payload.
He's starting to feel it now. Watch out for this Cassie as this Ice Mine game goes on. He has 3 kills in that most recent fight, and now the long sight lines to take advantage of. You're going to have to find some better shots than Rakata, who has a little bit maybe easier confirmable damage with that Victor, but he's playing his angles well. Once this man starts to feel that rhythm on Cassie, the dangerous game that you're playing, Team Envy in a great spot to maybe find a fight, keep things moving forward. It all starts with a Faith Light.
And he's up in the air looking for some shots. Has a good angle. This is the biggest thing. If you get rid of Rakata, you get rid of the guy who is going to cause a lot of trouble for you. No hit scan pressure now for the Knights.
And that's a 2-for-1 trade now for Envy, all just for the Faith Light. The flutter upward, looking for a little bit more damage. Instead, it's Cuss Cutie with the long-range shots onto Random Noob to confirm that kill. Good Void Grip, locks up Rock Monkey. Overtime is on, payload still moving forward, but only a couple members of Team Envy are left. They realize once you have to slither away, if you're Mr. Hayes, not much to be found. This defense confirmed now for the Pittsburgh Knights, and we're tied at 1.
Just staying afloat there at the end. You have a couple of good jukes coming down from Rock Monkey, dodging some shots from Zarini with a few rare misses in a row there on the barrack. And it's little moments like that that would either end the round faster, keep them going if you're Envy. And Rock Monkey, pretty much the reason they were able to get back to that push, whether or not they were able to seal the deal there. Coming up to the rest of the team, they maintain a few ults. They use the Faith Flight if you're Envy. They didn't use anything if you're the Knights. You had a pretty good zone going for you at the beginning, so you didn't have to waste a single ult. And that's where through time and space, you know, Nick had mentioned shooting through the gateway, try to get some dismounts. Admittedly, sometimes you just need that shot. That ult comes through. If you can lock the right people down, that's a free kill.
Only able to dismount 1. That could be a difference maker. Team Envy have a lot of crowd control in their ultimates, and the Knights as such have built in to a little bit of resilience. Barrage down from Rakata, down to 21% through time and space. No good. One more time. Rubu very low. Overpower, no good from the Knights. Lots of ultimates swinging, not a lot of ultimates connecting right now. Just good old-fashioned damage to try to buy yourself some space. Rubu shoulder bashes right on in. No assert dominance for him. Rakata has the angle. No good on the damage just yet. Grenade flies out. No kill onto Rubu. Shoulder bash to get him out of danger. It's 21% to 6%. Random Noob, he finds the first kill.
It's a good call for Rakata to try and go back there. He's looking for the Willow, but he's not able to find the angle that he needs. Finally, the Knights are able to get some. They have been pushing Envy back, keeping them backs against the wall this entire time, using almost all of their ults to do so. And they just barely get 45%, and they didn't get most of that until just now. A little bit of aggression. They lose one member, and they lose a lot of the pressure they had going on. Rubu's been hovering on this brink of death for so much of this, but he doesn't feel threatened.
Yep, he feels okay, kind of in the back lines there. Important moments here, effectively tied on that mid-fight. Ice Storm goes down, Rock Monkey with the shot, but Cuss Cutie returns one. These close range shots from Sims are gonna be important. Random Noob right back into the Faith Light, finds an angle, not enough damage just yet. They weren't able to finish the kill onto the point. Finally, the comp goes down. There's the barrage, ringing out from Rakata. Knocked back, but not far enough. Rubu gets the kill, but Rakata immediately trades right back. Pittsburgh Knights, they stall this one out. They're kind of back in control here at 63% for Envy.
63 to 51 now, as they're gonna match and surpass what Envy were able to pick up on the point. Maintain or have regained their through time and space here. And again, the right angle.
It's good! Cuss Cutie connects onto Rock Monkey, and that might be all they need to secure this point, and it is. Pittsburgh Knights, they move themselves 1 point closer from the World Championship Finals.
All they need to do, walk this one down. They'll be up 3-1. But it's going to take a lot more than that. Again, Ice Mine's not too easy to take that big control. So they're going to have to maintain, figure out what ults they want to use, what they're willing to convert. Being up 3-1 in the end of the game, it's just 1 point away. So if you drop a Dome Shield with 30 seconds left or right before you convert, you're going to be feeling it during the mid-fight, especially with how aggressive Rubu's been, how aggressive Tulki have been. They've been in their face, and it's been causing a lot of trouble. Like, Zarini's saving grace has been Rakata.
Yep. Rock Monkey, 7-5-5 for him. Rubu is going to drop down the assert dominance. That's a double now for the Ashe. And this is right where you need things to turn around for you if you're Team Envy. Things get very close there on Ice Mines. They're able to stall this game out just for a moment, but how much can you get on the zone? How far forward do you want to go is the question. There is Simsaloo. Look, the Eevee. Okay, he's going to blink out. There was a moment there where he was off to the side, but he rejoins his team.
We've seen some long backdoors. But I cannot imagine getting that far. On the world stage, if you could get that far on a payload with a backdoor, I would say you deserve to be backdoored in that case. I can't imagine what it would be like. And that would be heartbreaking, but like you said, does fall back. Still kind of in the back of my mind as something they could try to pull off, but it's not easy to do so on this map. It's pretty easy to notice everything, but he is on the payload right now. It's moving.
Yeah, payload inching closer. They are going to get a couple of kills here, so Team Envy are going to be back, respawning back in their base. Finally contested as those respawns come out. Simpsy does get the kill onto Rock Monkey, so the respawning member of Team Envy wasn't able to fully stall him out. He blinks back. Now a little bit caught out, but he does make some progress. 30 seconds left. Team Envy, they weather that storm. Still a good chance to tie this game.
30 seconds, Zarini's still mounted, Dome Shield available. Again, it comes down to what are you willing to try to get the last 40% of this push. You have 20 seconds, but plenty of time if you can keep overtime going. Zarini's in good position for it. Dismounted now, so it's going to be a lot more difficult to get down there, especially healthy with the angle that Envy's holding, but you have the chance.
Ooh, flutter upward. The DR keeps Random Noob alive, but Mr. Hayes goes down. So does Rubu. Still a chance for Team Envy. 10 seconds left. You're getting staggered out. Overtime will begin. One more chance for Envy to defend, to try to keep this game within reach. And the respawns are coming back.
Look how staggered out. This Willow's not going to be up, and Nara is still not available. Payload making some crucial ground right now, and Nara respawn, drop down, looking to contest. Finally, you get Willow back. Fae Flight's available. They've got some good round enders if you're the Knights.
How much do you want to spend? That's the question. Ice Storm's the answer from Simpsy. Not able to get the kill. Blink through, right back into the Dread Serpent. A double kill from Random Noob. Things looking like they're going to explode there, but Team Envy, they spend the Dread Serpent. Perfect positioning on it. And they're able to tie up this game.
Keeps them alive. Keeps it at 2-2. At 3-1 deficit, you can look at Ice Mines. All you have to do is win a fight around the mid with comeback mechanic, and all of a sudden you're back in the game. But it's not a position you want to be in. You are at set point.
Yeah.
And if you give Knights one more, they are at set point, being able to close it out in the map. So being able to find one more capture for them, they're a conversion away. Envy really need this one to stay alive. They maintain, I think, just enough ults, the right kind too, to keep them alive in this Fae Flight. Random Noob, this has to go bigger than ever. I think it's the most crucial to connect and have a good run.
Well, a lot of the people on the Knights that are going to be getting affected by the Assert Dominance, the Seismic Crash, the Dread Serpent, they have some resilience. So it's just a split second of an advantage that those ultimates may be buying for you if you're Team Envy. First to the point here. Go, Team Envy. Barrage one more time, searching for a target. Good stun out to cancel it. He's able to shrug it off and turn around, grabs the kill onto Rock Monkey. Tolkien moving himself forward. So many low health bars, but Envy, they're not able to capitalize just yet. Assert Dominance drops down from Rubu. Good angle. Might be able to find Cuss Cutie, but it's not able to finish off the shot.
Cuss is so low. Rubu's going for it still. He's looking for the kill, but the Genos is so slippery. Still alive. They get rid of Rubu. Cuss stays alive. And now they're looking for a zone to try and find this point. That was beautiful from him. His movement throughout that. There's not many ways to dodge Ash's shots, but he managed to do it.
I'm for sure he's going down, and then somehow he escapes one more time. This is the retake attempt from Team Envy, 72% for the Pittsburgh Knights. You find a good target in Zerini, you're able to get the kill. Cuss Cutie, no good on Through Time and Space. This time he goes down. It's another double kill from the Willow. Looking for 3, nearly makes it 4, but he sets up Team Envy perfectly on the retake.
Just doing everything to take them down one by one. Systematic, exactly what they need.
That might be it.
They should be able to catch up, no problem. With one push, if they can maintain this zone, which with Zerini dismounted, they should. They're one way from being able to tie the set once again.
All right, Team Envy, one push away from sending us to a Game 7. And so much of that hinges on how these first couple of trades go. We've seen it get very close now for both teams. Kind of that second wave of ultimate starting to come online for either side, an Ice Storm and Overpower. G-Bunny may elect to use that on a target just to give his team an advantage. A 1-for-1 trade, but losing Rubu, that's big. Getting Zerini, that might just be bigger. And Rakata, that certainly makes this trade in Envy's favor. A full sweep for Team Envy, and the payload's moving.
That's a double-double. One for Rock, one for Tolkien, of all people. Be able to keep this one moving. 4 members on Envy with the streak burning right now, 6 and above. As even though the slash lines might not reflect too well for them, they've been able to do a lot in this case. Charging up these ults again. Dread Serpent available now. Fae Flight 86%. 84 just behind that is the Assert Dominance. And again, all of those perfect for ending a map. They get a good kill onto G-Bunny. That's a great way to start this off and try to keep this payload rolling.
Can you push that advantage? That's the question. Envy, they think they can. 3 members down now for the Pittsburgh Knights. There's 10 seconds on the longest death timer. Can you drop down? If you're PK, you might have to use ultimates to protect yourselves from going to a Game 7. Overpower doesn't connect from G-Bunny. Flutter upwards from Random Noob. The payload's getting close. Zerini drops down the Dome Shield. Gormizer, there's still a minute left in this game. You don't need to end it now if you're Envy, and they seem to agree. Things slowing down just for a moment. Rubu's still in the back line, though.
Some crucial kills that didn't out, but they did get rid of G-Bunny. That's going to open it up. A nice return, but it's a 2-for-1.
You don't have any front lines left if you're Pittsburgh Knights. You only have squishies. Down go a couple of members. Toki with the double kill. Team Envy tie this set, and we're going to a Game 7.
They keep it close. It's exactly like their last year's semifinals. That time they were up against Space Station. This time it's Knights pushing them to the brink. And one map could determine everything, will determine everything for one of these teams as they fight back. That felt like the brink of defeat. The Knights were in the lead. Wow. They were in control.
I felt it.
That Fae Flight around the mid-fight was exactly what they needed. Triple kill from Random Noob just to keep them alive.
That's what Envy needed in that moment. Things going so close there towards the end. We had a best of 7 that effectively went to a best of 5 that effectively went to a best of 3. Now a best of 1. Whoever wins this next one goes to your World Finals tomorrow. Gorman, I can't call it. This one's too close.
It's exactly what you would have wanted. If you had told me today that either of these teams were going to find a 4-0, I wouldn't have been too surprised. But knowing that they're both coming in, giving it their all, the fact that Envy are keeping themselves alive, they've said they play better in front of a crowd, and I think so far they've been proving it.
Yeah, the crowd up there making some noise for Team Envy. One more game to decide your first attendee to the World Finals tomorrow. Stick around.
What's going on, everybody? This is Caleb from Beartooth. This is Ashi from Beartooth, and we are very excited because now, if you go on Smite's store, you can get the Beartooth music pack. You can crank it up real loud, jam some rock and roll with your buddies. It's a great time. We're going to love it.
Destined for greatness or death!
Well, 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 if it ain't Game 7 at the Paladins World Championship semifinals. The semifinals have never disappointed us, man. We have always gotten some of our best, if not our best sets of the tournaments here in the semifinals. Envy fight back your reigning World Championships, stay alive against the 8th seed. Let's keep this in perspective, folks. The Knights had to take down Na'Vi, one of the most storied teams in Paladins history, to be here today. They put Envy up against the ropes early, but the boys in blue are not ones to go down without a fight.
And no matter what happens in the next map for the Knights, I don't think they should be disappointed about their performance so far. I'm sure they will be. You know, if you're competitive, you want to take it all the way, but still, great performance so far. But on this map, man, Envy, I thought they were out of it. I thought that they got outdrafted, honestly, but they didn't get to that late game. They didn't give Knights a chance to get that resilience.
Honestly, it did look over to me. If not for Paulie P and his big wand energy bringing that one back, I mean, it looked really, really grim for the World Championship. If not for that Willow performance, ripping back through, getting those initial frags, and frankly, putting the cherry on top at the end of that payload push that he so graciously offered up to Envy. I don't know where they would be standing right now.
And is this a small misstep from the Knights? Because they had the chance to take that Willow. Yeah. Instead, they got the con, and they weren't connecting overpowers as the game was going on. That was a kind of consistent thing where Bunny was struggling. There's a lot of cover on this map. It's not the easiest map to connect them on. There is counterplay if you got cover.
You can see so much back and forth. Traditionally regarded as one of the hardest maps to convert on. Teams come here because they want to slow the set down. They don't want what happened on Brightmarsh to happen again. I think that's true to an extent, but like we mentioned, this map has evolved this year. Teams have been brought here so often that they've had no choice but to get better at it, and this is the play I'm talking about right here. Random new. Paulie P comes ripping through, grabs one, and just makes it happen. Sometimes as the star fragger, you gotta take the game by the horns and you gotta make it happen for your team, and I think he does just that.
You know, sometimes people come into chat and they ask, why do they ban Strix? Why do they ban Willow? Last game, that's why they banned Strix.
Let's talk about it.
That's why they banned Willow. She has so much influence over the game. You deny healing. We already know how important Cauterize is, denying that healing just by hitting them. But zero, nothing, only in that spot, the most important place to be, it completely controls the flow.
Frog Isle, that's where we're going. That's where it's all gonna come to a close for one of these teams. It is win or go home. Game 7 of the Pittsburgh Knights versus Team Envy. Willow, the first to sit. Strix will join her quickly. I wouldn't be surprised in this type of high-pressure environment to see us get back to those standard bans. Atlas, Makoa, and then everybody just tries to get on something comfortable, right? You have that strategy that you can lean on. It's going to be the con, though. They're going to keep it interesting here. The Knights, I would say, benefited the most from that pace switch up on Bright March.
Yeah, I think so for sure. And also that means that Envy haven't won one of Knights' maps yet. Only Knights have won on one of Envy's.
Yep.
So that's a tough climb.
How important is that situation, right? This is a Knights pick for Game 7. Now, we talk about how both teams want to lead with their best foot forward early on in the set. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
This is the 7 foot.
Exactly. This is your 7 foot. Oh my goodness, a lot to talk about here. Both snipers being banned away as well. Traditionally something that only kind of happens on Frog Isle and Timbermill.
I'm actually surprised Envy banned Kinessa. I thought it was going to be Knights get a power tank, Envy get the other, and Kinessa. I'm thinking Rock Monkey on that character.
It's kind of weird, yeah.
That's how they want to influence the game, but they clearly went neither in play. And Makoa, instead of Atlas, taken for the Knights. He's so strong on this map. His ability to cross gaps, because it's open, but it's still pretty compact. You can cross a lot of distance very quickly.
Yeah.
Having that Ancient Rage in their face with almost no counterplay is definitely, I think, the most influential thing that you can get.
It is a small map with some big line of sights to work with, for sure. One of the guys that splits the map very effectively is Atlas, however, if they take that temporal divide talent now. It's kind of really what we've seen so far. Do you expect that trend to continue here on Frog?
I think so. This was actually originally the map for temporal divide. Teams were running Deja Vu on different maps. Teams were kind of testing. Some people were playing Unstable Fissure and then quickly realized it was not playable. But temporal divide, this was the map for it. You want to block those sight lines. They're so wide. They're so important to have covered that having that impact, I think, was a really big deal. Wondering what the Knights could follow up with on this. Do they want to play more controlling? Maybe get a Drogos with some combustible? Or do they want to go all in? Do they want to get those flankers for Simsaloo? Do they want to end up with a Fury and Io?
Maeve was really dominant early on in this set and has gone a little bit quiet, getting some bans, not as high priority, but now she's back, and Nara as well. Front lines entirely locked down for both teams. Maeve locked in as the first damage or support character, but we mentioned earlier, she is very flexible, so this is not showing a lot of cards for the Knights.
Yeah. Knights can still go a Blaster, or they could still end up going a Leon/Victor. They can have that area covered. Envy, unsurprising if they go with this Eevee. Very powerful on this map. She can cover some decent areas on the side. A lot of places to protect the wormhole, the blink return point gained from that talent that all the professional players use because of that utility it brings you. It would be, I believe, the first time we've seen it. Victor locked it instead to take that away from the Knights, and Ying, that raw sustain, you can't beat it in a lot of situations.
I feel my heart rate picking up, man. This Game 7 energy is palpable here in the building. I cannot imagine what these players are going through. This one has been long. It has been arduous from the opening bell to now. Coming to a close here as the dust begins to settle. One team will stand tall on Frog Isle. Victor Ying locked in for Team Envy. It's the Leon in response, and it looks like the Io being hovered, not yet locked for the Pittsburgh Knights.
I like the idea of the Io for the aggression. The problem is if they don't pressure the Victor, Io has to peek to heal. She has to be in the open. There's no real leeway. If you're peeking a Victor, you're dead. That's kind of what it comes down to. So much damage coming in from him with the Eevee to follow up as well, if that is the final lock for Envy. But if they can pressure Rock, if they don't let that damage come out, if G-Bunny's able to do enough on that danger cliff side of the map, then the Io does end up being a solid pick.
Eevee is being hovered, still yet to be locked with Willow banned away. I don't know anywhere I would rather have Paulie P to carry this game. He made it his own. He really put his mark on the 2018 DreamHack World Championship with Eevee. Team Envy just taking these final moments to discuss what they want to lock in as their final selection. No matter what it is going to be played by a random noob.
Yeah, and I think there's merit to a Drogos here, which is probably what they're discussing. Having that combustible to control that far side is pretty impactful, plus the Dragon Punch to be able to execute Makoa, whether he's in Ancient Rage or not, does bring a lot to the defensive play, but it's more what Envy, what style they want to have. To counter the aggression or just hard hold, lock it down, don't let them in. And looks like they want to punish the forward play from the Knights.
Locked in, folks. Game 7. If you're an Envy fan out there, they need your energy right now. Make some noise for the boys in blue, the defending world champions. But I know we all love an underdog. 8th seed, the Pittsburgh Knights. They need your help too. If you're a Knights fan, make some noise! G-Bunny and the boys. Kresnik, one last time, buddy. Who you got going on?
You know what? I got to go with the Knights.
Alrighty, boys. The Knights. I want to give it to Cuskitty as well, my man, but I'm going to remain unbiased here. Paulie P on the Eevee. He is lethal. He is locked in. I can't wait to see Rubu on the Atlas as well. Rubu Ryan Wong, the MVP from last year's World Championship. Last chance to dance. It's Game 7. Frog Isle, Dolson Gore, take it away.
Well, it's one last game, no matter what. No games after this, except for one team who'll be moving on to the finals tomorrow. Team Envy, Pittsburgh Knights. They have fought tooth and nail through all 7 games, and the pressure could not be higher for any of those 10 players up on stage. One more game to go to the finals.
Now you take this matchup on paper, and on Frog Isle, I love Makoa more than I like Atlas. But I can never count against Rubu on any off-tank, let alone on something as powerful as an Atlas. This one, more snowbally map that we've seen. Anything can happen here. They've got the IO as well for the Knights, something that has been huge through qualifiers, quarterfinals, even today. There's so much that can go well for both sides. Right now, the Knights are in control. If G-Bunny can maintain this ramp, then Envy don't have a chance to really fight back.
You can see what Atlas brings the Makoa right back into his grasp. G-Bunny finds the hook. No first blood yet, but Toki has a great chance to find it. Enough healing through to the Pittsburgh Knights prevents anyone from going down here. Cuskitty, perfect positioning, but it's Rock Monkey from the high ground down onto that Inara. First blood for Envy, and control back to them.
Zimzalu having to skirt around, keep himself alive. Just around these rocks, looking for some good angles, playing over the edge. As he does get back onto the map. It's going to be tied up, passed over here.
Tied up.
As Envy gets 75%. They're looking to try and find a good zone. They've got some good hit scan here. G-Bunny and Rubu, this is going to be the fight that might determine it all.
It's 93% for Team Envy. One more fight to get them back into this first point. Daggers from Simpsy are good. Cooldowns used by Rubu. No first blood in this fight just yet. Rakata finds the first one. That's some good long-range damage from the Leon. But as he bit off too much, they just need to look down. He stays alive until Toki is able to turn around, but the first midnight of the game for the Knights is used. It might not be enough as Random Noob finds the angle. You gotta get rid of the Mave, but they're not able to do so just yet, and suddenly the Knights are back in control.
Barrage is about to come online, though. That can easily rip this away. The bombs are dropping. Cuskitty stays alive, backflips out of it.
Overtime is on, 99 for either team. One more fight now at this point to determine point number 1. Low health bars, cooldowns used by Rubu. Shell spin in to try to get G-Bunny re-engaged. Toki finds some good shots onto Zarini, who trades out with one onto Rubu. Rakata's still alive. Dome shield goes down. Rakata, he has to slide backwards. Overtime looking like it's going to expire. They get the cooldown reset. You just need a toe on the point. Mr. Hayes finds the kill, and Team Envy, they strike first.
Being able to find that one. 4 members down for the Knights. You have Inara sitting back in base, mounted up, trying to figure out where do I go now. Zarini, a lot of kills there. That was the most that I felt a Rakata versus Rock Monkey during this entire engagement. The barrage coming online just the right time to be able to find some damage. He's only 1-0-4, but he had a huge impact on that fight, kind of kept the Knights corralled away, allowed Tolki to get that dome shield charged up, come in, make sure that he'd be able to make that overtime. Now he's starting to pick up the kill.
Rock Monkey finds the angle and gets 2. Zarini a bit caught out here. That Inara falls. Tolki with 2 of his own. Team Envy, they're pushing quickly. Gormizer, Frog Isle is a map where you can cap and convert very fast.
It's very, very snowballing, as we've seen a lot of times. 4-0s on this map aren't uncommon. Actually, one of the reasons it's been one of the most banned maps that we've had. Teams don't like going here, can very easily spiral out of control.
Exiles.
Right now we're seeing Envy kind of walk it down. They're just a few feet away from converting this and find themselves a 2-0.
Rubu locks a few out of the game, but they're able to shrug it off, get back in. Simpsy, Midnight, expires, no kills. The hook from G-Bunny is enough to lock down Rock Monkey. Some good daggers as well onto Rubu. This is a winning fight for the Pittsburgh Knights as long as you can continue to find some damage. This is a 1v1 you want to keep your eyes on. Ricotta goes down. Random Noob finds the final shot, but it's not enough just yet to get Envy right back into it. This is a win from the Pittsburgh Knights, but Gore, there's still a minute left.
They move them off the edge there for Envy. They did lose a few ults trying to get that one converted when they did. Granted, the Exile probably the biggest one. A lot coming back up. Mr. Hayes specifically. Illusory Rift on Ying. 600 health a second globally for your team. Not something you typically think of. 30 seconds left. We're only up 1 point. Might want to maintain that for the next round, but it's always an option for Envy if they really want this 2-0.
Still got time to find it. Barrage now connects onto Ricotta. First kill, and that's backline onto backline. And now he's free and clear to move around to this side. Grenade bounces up. Random Noob has 2 kills. And now it's Serini against the world. That's a good stun just to lock down one. Cutie, he's way too far away. This payload's moving in. Team Envy looks like they've got their second point and are now 2 points away from the World Finals.
And it's exactly as the Lounge was saying when they were looking at this one. Deadly and damning to give Random Noob that EV. And so far, it's not going too well for them. He's been able to open up a lot of doors. You think that Makoa would be able to fight back more, but the stasis field from the Atlas, Rubu, kind of keeping that ground, allows the Eevee to get in there. It gives a lot of room for Rock Monkey. A lot of good kills coming down from the backline on Envy. And the front lines are the ones fighting it out. They were winning them early on, and I'd argue they're winning the game for them right here.
These are the highlights you expect from Random Noob. Nick gave him a shout out up in the Alienware Lounge. Watch out for Random Noob on this map with Eevee. 5-1-7 for him, 5-1-6 for Rock Monkey. The guys they always turn around to lean on in these tough moments, starting to find their rhythm. And they are off to a roaring start on Frog Isle. Pittsburgh Knights, they need a little bit more to try to get them over that edge. First hook in from G-Bunny. Ancient rages out, but that's a setback onto himself. A second chance gets Rubu right back into the fight, but G-Bunny finds the flank onto Rock Monkey, who's hanging out back in that back line. A double kill from the Makoa. Make it 3 from G-Bunny. That's a big hook from him as well. And 3 from the Turtle keeps the Knights in control.
And they find the support there at the end as well. Staggered out are him as well as Random Noob on the flank for the Eevee, and that's going to keep it easy. And once we saw Envy do it, now we see the Knights do it. Get aggressive, get in their face, in their base, stop them from getting back. With comeback mechanic, this is a sure thing.
Yeah, I don't see a world where Envy's able to get back here. Point on the board for the Pittsburgh Knights. A capture ties up this game. With 2 minutes left, Team Envy on the back pedal. Not a lot of ultimates to try to defend with. What a turn. That is maybe the biggest point fight of this game, barring a 0.7 fight to get the Knights back into it.
And I mean, we saw what can happen. Some earlier maps, Warder's Gate comes to mind. A 2-0 doesn't necessarily mean anything if you get it first. Knights were able to fight back 4 points then. They could do it again now. Conversions, 2 minutes is plenty of time on Frog Isle. The payload takes almost no time to really find the full conversion. A lot of the snags are in any defending play from Envy. They've used the Exiles, they've used the Illusory Rift, they've got Barrage available if they need to dump it, but it looks like they're finding at least a little bit of space now.
And they're just trying to keep this pressure where it is right now. They do not want to go all the way back to base. Ricotta is going to use that Enlightenment. It's not going to find anything but death on the other end of it. That's a good setback turnaround there from Rubu. Frontliners caught out here from the Pittsburgh Knights. They crumble. Now Team Envy able to move forward. This is a huge conversion attempt for the Pittsburgh Knights. You go down 3-1 on a fast, snowbally map, things become very, very difficult to get really back into that game.
Yeah, it's easy to find a defense, easy to break a defense on this map. The biggest thing, the further forward you get, the more aggressive you are if you're Envy on the defense, you can wipe, respawn, still be there for the next fight with plenty of time to go to make sure that you don't exactly lose off of one push. And with the way they're finding kills, you're pretty much in control of this. Stasis field, as large as that one, keeps control. But G-Bunny's starting off this push now, much like he started the round with a kill on the Alex.
And the ultimate's starting to fly now for Team Envy just to withstand this presence. One more kill from the Makoa. Frontliners staggered out from Team Envy. Mr. Hayes pulls one back, but payload moving in. Rubu's back on respawn. Tolki, the other frontliner for Team Envy. Big health pools soon coming out of base, but there's still 30 seconds left. Respawns one more time from Envy. One more 5v5 fight to give them a 3-1 lead, or we're tied up at 2. And the pressure couldn't be higher on this one. Zerini way in the back line, a little bit too far forward. Didn't have support from the rest of his team. Suddenly, a large health pool is missing. G-Bunny tries to even things up. He's able to get the kill onto the back line for Team Envy. But it's a 1-for-1 trade so far. He shell spins out. Overtime looking like it's going to begin. But no Zerini, no G-Bunny. Overtime does start.
Simsalud gets the touch, but it's almost all he can do. This Mave's trying to keep things alive, but they have to do a lot to make sure this keeps going their way.
And they put Luna on the payload just to try to keep things going. Simpsy dashes in. Simpsy goes down. Overtime still dropping. Zerini not in range. Team Envy 1 point away from going back to the finals.
And all it takes is a little bit of pressure on this mid. You could potentially pop the Knights out of here. There's a lot that can go right, a lot that can go wrong in the matter of seconds. The biggest thing, again, Rubu, Atlas, the stasis field that he's got going for him, that's 5 seconds of range damage, essentially. Once it hits that wall, it's nullified for 5 seconds that it's going to be up every, well, about 20 seconds since it's running the talent that is going to increase its size. So he doesn't have it often, but when it's up, it gives you a lot of time to make changes. Available going into this, he throws that down. That's free fire for Rock Monkey that Ricotta can't hit the back line. That's when you're relying on Simsalud. That's when you're relying on G-Bunny. That's when you need a triple kill like you had last round to keep yourself in this game.
This is the biggest mid-fight of the season for both of these teams. The Knights, they're going to get aggressive right off the bat. They're not shying away from this big moment. Exile into the hook. No follow-up damage just yet. He's looking for more targets. He's able to find one. Envy, Tulky, they drop the dome shield off to the side to buy themselves some space. G-Bunny forced to use that Ancient Rage. He finds some presence. Rubu into the second chance as Ricotta finds the long-range kills. It's already 62% for the Knights, and the kills are in their favor as well.
And that's the best thing. One of the best things about Io on this map. You drop Luna down, you get 5 people getting aggressive in your face. You force a dome shield on stage, you have nothing from Tulky to be able to defend himself and get back onto that objective.
97%, nobody in range. Pittsburgh Knights, they strike one more time. And this is a big one. You tie up this game. Game 7 on the line. No game to win here for Envy. You cannot win if you're Team Envy on this defense, but Pittsburgh Knights can tie up the game if they push it in.
Barrage just now dropped. Illusory Rift coming online, or is online here for Mr. Hayes. It's a lot of healing that can happen. With 2 minutes left, if you're looking to try and keep this 3-2, keep yourself in the lead and kind of more of a sure thing. And Envy wouldn't be surprising as they have drop it just to kind of stay afloat in this game, keep this defense rolling about as solidly as you can.
Yep.
But again, this map, it's just so fickle. You could lose in the matter of an instant.
Look at those health bars melting away for the Knights. Envy in a great spot. Another double kill from the Eevee. Keeps this defense very much in their control. A third now for Random Noob. And now the Pittsburgh Knights all the way back in their base and respawning. Get a good mid-round look at the slash lines for both teams. 11, 5, and 10 for Random Noob. 9, 5, and 11 for Rock Monkey. The pause coming out here from the Pittsburgh Knights. Gonna slow things down just by its presence. But things looking good on the defense nonetheless for Envy.
I mean, at this point, it might just be to let some heart rates get back down, right? I mean, they're up there.
You hear them talking?
If you're the Knights, you are in a very precarious situation. I see a thumbs up from Cuss there. So I'm feeling like they're looking pretty good coming into this. Envy are definitely going to be under duress. The payload's still about 50% of the way, but there's a lot of pressure that is going to be coming through. Good shots, they find a kill on Zerini. It's a good way to find the defense, a good way to keep this going again. If you're up 3-2, the best thing for you will be the fact that you are still at map point, which will be set point for Envy during the next mid. Knights get back in there just to tie it up. Then we're at a 0.7 game 7, and everything's on the line.
Those are good trades from Team Envy as well, fighting right around this mid area. I mean, even if you get kind of those 1-for-1s, depending on how heavy, what you don't want on defense is like a clean team wipe. That's when you're all back and respawning. Suddenly you're staggered out. Suddenly you're on the back foot. And that's kind of where we see Envy right now.
The way they're playing it as well, Envy keep getting pushed off just barely. They leave 1 alive, they leave 2 alive, they get out. And if you can find them just a little later, then it's going to be able to stagger them out, keep you in an advantage in a 4v5. Right now, though, it's 20 seconds left. The fight's starting, and they're looking to roll this down and tie this up.
Simpsy gets the kill onto Random Noob. Zerini in a good spot, maybe to find that seismic crash. Rock Monkey hooks through, not enough damage to keep him alive. The Mave starting to hit its stride now for Simpsy. Toki just hanging out behind that barrier, but the sustain is not there. Pittsburgh Knights, they're gonna roll this one in, pending maybe an overtime here, and a double kill from Simpsy ties up this game. Ladies and gentlemen, a game 7.7 to go to the World Finals.
And Simsalou is showing up exactly when you need him to. That's twice this set where it's a crucial moment for them. It's just keep them alive, keep them afloat. And Simsalou comes through with a double kill, with a triple kill, something that will keep them going. And it's all you could ask for from this Mave. It's the reason they were able to beat Na'Vi a week ago. And it's the reason they're staying in this game right now. If he gets taken care of early on, though, a good barrage, a good exile, something to slow him down, all of a sudden, you start to see the play disappear from the Knights. I think he's a big driving factor. He's kind of the spearhead that drives the rest in. And if you get rid of him, you can kind of control G-Bunny. If he's gone early on, it makes it a lot easier to just corral the rest of the team out.
So I think 2 rounds ago I said that was the most important mid-fight of the year for either of these two teams.
They keep one-upping.
They keep one-upping one another this entire set. This now, the most important mid-fight of the year. 1 more point to go to the World Finals. You can see discussion on the face cams from both teams. Cool, calm, collected. And that's what you have to look at right now, the nerve check. Keep that pressure down. I'm sure it's not easy.
It's stress at this point. You're trying to come into this, you're having to discuss what are we doing next. You have to keep out of your mind, I would argue more than anything, that you are maybe one misstep away. If you make just one mistake, then all of a sudden it all falls away. And so you have to kind of keep yourself focused as much as you can on this game. It's focused in. Envy's still chatting about, trying to figure it out. Whatever ults are available going to be very important coming into it. Mr. Hayes specifically comes to my mind. We talk about the Inflame a lot whenever Fury is in the game and how game-changing it can be because of the fact that it's movement speed, it's damage. But Ying, in this game, that healing is more than game-changing in a match like this. Having Illusory Rift up and available for her, again, 600 health a second while it is running. And for Rubu, for Tulki, for Random Noob, for Rock Monkey, that means you can usually take 1 to 2 more shots in these fights.
And we are coming up on about 3 hours in this semifinal set. I mean, you talk about mental fatigue, pressure, nerves out here on the world stage. You're tired. You've been playing some of the most important Paladins of your life for the last 3 hours. But it all comes down to one, maybe 2, 3 more minute fight for one of these two teams to move on. And it's hard to say. This is the threat that Frog Isle brings. You can go up 2-0. You lose the comeback mechanic mid-fight. The push is hard to defend against. That's the way things can turn around.
I think a lot of Frog Isles we see, 4-0, probably the most common, but 4-1's pretty easy to get. You go up 2-0, you grab the next mid, they defend, then you grab the next one, right? Going to 3-3 on this map, it changes things. You learn more about the playstyle the teams are trying to bring, specifically for the Knights, because they have that IO. You kind of have a feel. Are they going in for point control, pure objective capture? They have Luna to be able to do so. If they get aggressive, then that alone is enough to maybe seal that and get them some good percentage. But like you said, no comeback mechanic, it's a little slower. There's plenty of time to fight back from a deficit. Honestly, I don't think anything's sealed until you win a fight and you're at 99%, you can tick over. Otherwise, it's still all up in the air.
Well, big conversation coming into this game was the Atlas Makoa kind of back and forth, right? And you're never betting against that Makoa. The Atlas has looked pretty good from Rubu as well. What's your take on kind of that dynamic so far through this game?
Honestly, I think Atlas is bringing, everything he needs to, and that's just one giant stasis field that stops bullets in its tracks, right? That alone is enough, again, to open up some space for Random Noob. He won't get sniped out from anywhere near as far. It gives Rock Monkey the ability to peek without having to worry about any retaliation. But it's only up for 5 seconds at a time. It's got a 21-second, 22-second cooldown when he's running that talent. That makes it so large. So playing around that is crucial for Envy. But the minute you back off as Knights, you say, okay, cool, we can't get you now. Or what they've been doing, we're going to send G-Bunny past you, let him get some hooks, let him go get a double kill, single kill on his own. Then we're going to set this up for a trickle.
Well, that's been so much part of it, hasn't it? The presence that the Makoa brings, the shell spin through, it looks like suddenly, you know, he's so far out of the fight and then he's right back in it. What you don't see, the intangibles, the zoning that brings, making Rock Monkey drop all the way back to base. Sure, it looks like there's no Makoa in the fight, but there's also usually one or two members of Envy that have to turn around and identify that.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing. Trying to figure out, man, what to do with the Makoa, what to do, I think more with the IO. I think Bulldozer at this point should theoretically be built into by Envy. They should have a couple online for them to break it down. You have to break through Luna one way or another, but that hasn't been the biggest threat. That was a huge threat early on in the set, but it hasn't necessarily been causing as much trouble here and now.
Right.
But it's that moment of if you forget about her, all of a sudden that Fox is the biggest threat to you. It's also important to note the stun that it brings. If you get aggressive in the wrong spot, you're going to get taken down right then and there. And that's more, I think, before Random Noob, again, dives in the wrong person. Luna gets a stun, damage is going to be good. And what we might see is a mid-fight gone wrong for Envy if that's the case. But that's pretty much important on where Cuss is going to be standing.
Well, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. One final mid-fight to decide who goes to the World Finals. You got Envy, you got Knights. Only one will escape and move on to tomorrow. Pittsburgh Knights, they're early on this aggression here. Envy, they pull all the way back. Nobody left. Really to fight back on that mid. Dome Shield drop down now from Toki. He finds the first kill of this round, but it's a double kill from G-Bunny. Puts the Pittsburgh Knights in a great spot. That's 3 now for the Turtle. Pittsburgh Knights, they're in control.
And look how far back Rock Monkey's pushed. He's forced to run back to the base. Simsaloo has been zoning him this entire time. That's 60% for the Knights, and they're maintaining control.
Envy, they need one last chance to maybe fight back into it. 81% and climbing, make it 84. The zone is in. The biggest fight of the year now from the Pittsburgh Knights. Random Noob, he goes in. He's in the ice block. Overtime melting away. A double kill from Ricotta might just seal this one up. Rubu, he has to pull himself back. You still have a chance if your Team Envy. Enlightenment flies through, doesn't connect. That's 3 kills for Ricotta. The Pittsburgh Knights, they're going to the finals.
You know, Dave, a lot of people up there will call them underdogs. Right now, they're the Kingslayers. They have taken out Na'Vi in 1 week. They take out your reigning world champs Envy right now. That is what you want to see out of the Knights. That's the play they brought when they faced the #1 seed in the PPL. And now, the two biggest threats for the Paladins World Championship the last 2 years have been eliminated. No matter what, we're getting a fresh champion.
This is a 8 seed, by the way, in the Pittsburgh Knights. This is your 8th seed in the quarterfinal. They have now knocked out the #1 seed in Na'Vi in the quarterfinals. They beat the defending world champions in Team Envy, and they got a chance to write their name on that trophy tomorrow.
You remember that Renegades team I was talking about, well, at this point, an hour and a half ago?
Yeah.
4-24 throughout the regular season. 9 days ago, this Knights team lost to them. They turn around in 2 days, beat the #1 seed, come through, beat your reigning world champs, keep themselves alive, and they move forward. We'll find out their opponent later, but that's got to be one of the best feelings right now, is knowing they could bring it back from what felt like the brink of defeat. Envy were up 3-1 there on Frog Isle.
That is just so tough. That shows you the way things can turn around at the drop of a hat. Quick look at the post-game stats here. Game 7.7 is what we got there. Pittsburgh Knights, they reign supreme towards the end. Looking at Slashline score, nothing really stands out. That was as even of a game as it looked on screen.
I mean, everything came down to specific moments. If I have to give an MVP for specifically that last game, it's G-Bunny. He's going big in moments where they needed it. If you're fighting back, you're looking at where these Ancient Rages are coming from, who he's hitting with them, and how many kills he's getting. Most of them, I think the worst one I saw was a double kill. Every other one, he gets 3. And that last swipe that he took during that last mid-fight, the shell spin forward, having that to close the gap, gets one final hit out of the ult just to make sure he gets that kill. It's only 58,000 damage, but it was the most effective damage, I would say, in the game on the Knights.
Well, he had so much presence. Think back to game 1, 3 hours ago for Team Envy. The front lines taking that game over. G-Bunny had a huge role in that game for Frog Isle. Pittsburgh Knights, they win it in 7 points there on Frog Isle. The big man himself, Cuss Cutie, he's standing by with Fawn for an interview.
We are live, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations to the Pittsburgh Knights. I guess the first question I have to ask you is, how's it feel, man?
It feels pretty good. I mean,
good,
yeah, this is my first finals ever. I've been to every single Worlds, and I'm pretty excited to be here.
So you take down Na'Vi. You take down Envy, the defending world champions, as well. I mean, there has to be something. What was that like? I mean, I heard Simsy screaming from up here, like down there on the floor. So what is that like to try and keep that morale high despite it being a Game 7?
I mean, our idea every game is just it's a best of one, right? And we've got the Simsy land magic, so I think we're going to be able to take it all the way this year.
That's super, super awesome. Once again, just another question. I'm just genuinely curious, how are you guys feeling about your potential upcoming matchup? I mean, NIP versus VP, I mean, that has to be really, really scary, but you guys feel pretty confident about that?
Yeah, we're ready for either matchup. I really hope it's VP, not because of like a matchup thing. It's just, I think it'd be a good storyline. It'd be like G2 versus G2, and it would be Penta versus Penta, and it would be an insane finals. So that's what I want to look forward to.
Well, thank you very, very much, cuz. Congratulations to the Pittsburgh Knights. Make some noise. We'll throw it right to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the next set of Paladins.
Welcome back to